Oh, Brian's
What's
studio
up, guys?
tour. Welcome to Brian's studio. This is the first time I've been to your studio,
Is Brian
man.
still putting gel in his hair or what? What's up, everybody?
Hey, welcome to the day after, post-mortem, wrap-up, if you will. After 5.5 hours yesterday or so, I was thinking of Brian, why does it feel shorter? Turns out we didn't do gaming.
Yeah, we didn't game.
So here we are today, and we're talking about 2026 OLED TVs, what's good, and any questions you have about OLED, about yesterday's live stream. I'm Fomo, guy on my right.
Right, yeah, I'm on the right today.
The right today.
We had to come to my studio to be the guy on the right. The guy
Yes,
on the left,
Brian.
the guy on the right.
All right. I am here in beautiful Connecticut.
Yep.
And we are in this giant warehouse filled with TVs. You guys don't understand. I only shot maybe half the TVs Brian has back there. We got TVs he hasn't opened. I'm going to have to help him open a C6H. After yesterday's video, Brian's like,
C6H.
I'm taking this home.
Yeah.
And
what we have is we have a 77-inch C6H and a 55-inch C6. That way I can see how close they are. And then we're going to put the C6H for me against the 83-inch G5.
And our roommate has a great start to this stream. T-Cell is the best TV brand in my opinion. So by the end of 2025, we were going to do a video who won 2025, and we had agreed. T-Cell last year killed it. Now, will they win 2026? But we thought in 2025, even though T-Cell did not have an OLED TV, I think they dominated every segment. Maybe short of the flagship. This year they're into the flagship. In 2025, everything just below flagship, QM8K, and the pricing below that, down to this QM6K Pro and QM6K, unbelievable value. They dominated last year.
Well, and they did FOMO as in their releases too. It was like 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, they did a whole bunch of them. And then this year they're going back the other way where they're going X11, 8, 7, RM9L, and the QM6K carries over. And they haven't guaranteed that there may not be another QM9L or something around the corner. They love doing that stuff.
Yeah. And this is a great comment. So as you guys saw yesterday's live stream, if you haven't seen it, I linked it below. You could watch all 5.5 hours. I did timestamp everything, so you can jump around if you want to and rewatch certain segments. But I want to give some perspective about the G5. So Joaquin Barreto says, G5, LG's flagship from 2025, I must say has been a disappointment. Dolby Vision on the Apple TV looks terrible. Things look like B-series brightness all over again. So I think it was maybe possibly slightly worse at the beginning of the year. But by the end of the year, and I have the G5 as my benchmark HDR, I was completely satisfied until yesterday's live stream. But when you have the TV at home, for context, it looks amazing. It's not until you have it next to a slightly better TV it's like, wait, what am I missing out here?
Well, Joaquin says he has it. I think the problem, Joaquin, is that what we're seeing with Dolby Vision, this is why Dolby Vision 2 is important, is if a TV is tracking it most accurately, they're all going to be dim. So when you look at Dolby Vision, even Dolby Vision Bright or whatever, it's still trying to track the filmmaker's intent. So on Apple TV, I hate to say this, I just block out Dolby Vision and go HDR10 and it looks incredible because you have the flexibility of going into Cinema Home or Cinema. Dolby Vision, we said this, my A80J tracks it incorrectly. So to your point, Joaquin, your B series might be brighter because it's not tracking it accurately. Dolby Vision, that's kind of the problem. You're kind of adhering to the director's intent. So go into the Apple settings, block Dolby Vision, and enjoy it with HDR10.
And I love this comment because it reflects one of my videos recently, last week even. Would you still recommend or buy an LG TV if you knew it was spying on you every 15 seconds, as in FOMO's video from a few days ago? So if you watched that video, Sony the Unsung Hero. And by the way, I need to do a follow-up hero. The hero takes a dark path.
He found out somebody's a Sith in that conversation.
But for quick context, so I was looking into this, and currently the Attorney General of Texas has filed a suit against all the TV makers, from Samsung to LG to Sony to Hisense to TCL, and I think possibly more, saying the same thing, right? Not only are they spying on us, blah, 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 but like in my video, and I didn't realize that the Attorney General is also going after the same point. The TV makers are forcing you to do a firmware update, not just to fix your TV. It's during the firmware update that they upload everything they've collected since the last firmware update. And so the Attorney General of Texas is like, are you making, are you forcing these firmware updates because the TVs may need the updates for whatever reason, but when they update, that's when they reconnect to the internet, and now you're uploading everything. So
Collection.
In my opinion, LG mastered that. Everyone else is still behind. But more critically, for the TV makers to survive, that's what they're doing. So they're trying to do it without telling you. Oh, Vizio model.
The Vizio model.
They
Why did Vizio stop evolving? They made more money off information gathering than they did.
When Walmart acquired Vizio, Vizio's SmartCast alone was an operating profit of $300 million back in 2023. And the actual sales of the hardware was at cost. So they didn't need to make money on the actual TV, but they made money on the $300 million in data collection. And when Walmart saw that, like, well, that's great, the TVs suck, I don't care. And so that's why Walmart is locking people out. They're forcing people to sign in.
And they know because of the streaming devices, as long as you can get to your HDMI, you'll go to it, they're going to stop you at when you power it on.
And I think it's unavoidable. So I'm not saying the LG is good or bad here. I think this is where we're going.
We're all going there.
And Sony's dark path, I'll do a video on this, is Sony's forcing everyone to leave the antenna. If you have a hard antenna or rabbit ears, or if you have a cable box, right? Both of those don't use the internet of the TV. When you use those and plug it into your TV, that special antenna plug-in, normally Sony TVs has a menu system that helps you navigate those channels, right? They're disabling that and forcing you to use internet connection to get those same channels, and you cannot no longer get it on rabbit ears or whatever, purely to get you on the internet. And I think I'll talk to Sony directly saying, hey, what is the reason for this? Let me hear your marketing speak, because the skeptic in me and the cynical one in me is saying, you're forcing us to go online. And if you add that to last year's disablement of streaming availability on Sony Blu-ray players, together, it looks a bit sketchy.
You're going to give away the whole video, bro.
It's okay. No one's watching this, right? But I will be doing that video, and we're going to discuss it. You guys could put in your 10 cents. And here's another good one.
Well, the point is that I think what you're trying to say is it's going to be unavoidable.
Yeah.
More or less.
And I see your super chats. We're going to jump into that. But definitely, I wanted to talk about this because I've spoken at length with Classy about the G6 issues. Classy Tech said the G6 is worse than the G5 was. Ouch. So at the beginning of last year, the G5 was a nightmare of posterization, near black crushing. Dolby Vision was just off. Brian couldn't even watch what we were showing yesterday, which was extraction. It was unwatchable in Dolby Vision, on the G5. By the end of the year, it was all fixed to the best of its ability, much better, and many people just loved the G5. Even the reviewers, like ratings at the beginning, that didn't like it. By the end, it was acceptable, right? It was within, I'd say, LG's performance range as a flagship. Now, the G6 starts off even farther behind than the G5 did, and I will tell you, it is 100% because they are not used to this new processor. Remember, all new processor, right? This, whatever, 3 nanometer, 6 nanometer, whatever nanometer they're doing, it's so new that they haven't had a chance to bake in their features, or maybe they're looking for an excuse to collect your data and upload it once you try to get the update.
And what I don't understand, though, was a month ago at LG Labs in the basement, I had it next to an updated G5, an updated G6. Maybe that's not appropriate.
No,
I guess
they're not updated.
That's not their retail model, but it smoked the G5. I have video of it. Why would I not? Like, I literally showed the settings.
But this is why you need a retail model. When we show
that
up,
was in LG. So
yeah, when you show up to LG, and this is why many people don't go to that to do a serious review. They go to say, hey, it's a great TV, and then they run away.
Yeah, just a comparison.
Because there is no way that you could bring a meter and have that meter be even close to what you're going to see when you buy the final product, whether it's a G6, G5, whatever, G4, because the manufacturers themselves, they barely have the TV assembled in time with the firmware that they just recently put together just to get it to play whatever's on.
But I wasn't like a pre-alpha build. I mean, the TV was going out to reviewers after I filmed it.
And that was a nightmare. They should never have done that because what? It got killed by Vincent. It got killed by Connor, display guy. They all called me and said, what the hell is this? This is not a final sample, but you know what? We're going to review it.
It's too early, man.
And even Vincent's like, this is, I'll review it, but guys, let's just wait for the final. Even now, we just had an update. It is obvious that this update was for the C6H.
Yeah, because it
looked better.
It updated yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning, C6H updated in the same firmware number, but I think that number was optimized in C6H, and the G6 still needs an update.
What's cool is the C6H shows you when it updated.
Yeah.
It gives you a timestamp of what was before and what's next. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it's the world we live in. Whether it's an excuse for any of the manufacturers, everything, gaming, it's all been, we'll see how it is in a few months.
Yeah.
Which is, whether it's your Crimson game you like, I mean,
Crimson
that game
Desert.
changed already overnight. I mean, they take the data. It's almost like they wait for a bad review to then fix it. Oh, you want to fix that? Okay, I'll fix it. Let you be the troubleshooter, basically, for them.
And a couple of contextual comments because we're forward looking. It is literally the first week of the release of all these TVs. Yeah. The firmware today, what you saw with the C6 and the G6, definitely not what you will see in 8 months. And I think everyone can agree. But here's my fear. I think the G6 will get better.
Of course it will.
I hope they don't hamper the C6.
Yeah.
Because right now, the C6 outperforms the G5, as we saw out of the box. Where is it going to be at the end of the year? Or will they elevate the G5? I don't know. But
in some cases, it outperformed the G6.
In many cases. In most cases.
It was more saturated. It was, and it was right there with, well, you know what's funny? The G5 looked more like the S95H as far as the color tone.
Yeah.
But the G6 and C6 are clearly siblings, but there was times with the C6H.
Yep.
And I did not see that when I was at the review workshop. The G6 was clearly brighter.
Yeah. And we're going to jump to the super chat after this last comment because it is about Dolby Vision 2. I'm fearful of getting excited about Dolby Vision 2.
I hear you.
And I am in complete agreement with AJ because we've seen this story before. When Dolby Vision 1 was released, no one got it right. The first year for sure. When HDMI 2.1 was released, no one got it right.
Yeah,
Things weren't flowing and passing through.
My fear is, I feel like the night that Fomo and I met with Dolby, it's like we discovered over a table at dinner that, hey, this is going to be something that's for all Dolby Vision. I'd never heard that before. Yeah. And it felt like they had never conveyed that before. So they brought that out in their press conference with TCL. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty monumental to put up. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping it delivers where they don't do piecemeal one movie at a time, because that'll be a nightmare.
So we have a few super chats I'm going to take care of real quick. So Michael McGee, I'll jump to your super chat, but there was one posted before we even started, and that was Dwight Baldwin. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Dwight.
FOMO was watching another reviewer going live about the G6 last night. I see you, Classy. He said he saw some banding and noticed that the G6 couldn't show the color red. Did you see these issues? It was Classy. So these things are so scene specific. I didn't catch Classy's entire live stream because by that time we were wrapping up. I was having dinner.
Are we frozen?
However, are we frozen? Hopefully, I'm not frozen. Oh, no, I'm not frozen. I just paused. So hopefully, I will talk to Class and get those scenes, and then we can revisit them on both the C6H as well as the G6. But all these things are so scene specific, as you saw. In some scenes, the G5 looked fine. In some scenes, it looks desaturated. Yeah. And in some scenes, the S95H looked oversaturated. Or is it accurate? Now, I have the reference monitor at home, and I will I'm honestly debating about which TV to get, the C6H or the G6.
Yeah, because you picked the G6.
Yeah, because you have the C6H. I'm tempted to get the G6. I have the G5, but I'm like, man, if I get the G6, I'm stuck with this TV and hoping that it will do well. And I don't know.
The C6H, that's why I got the 77. It's the more compelling story.
It is the more compelling story.
Because if you have the C6H FOMO, you can go against an S95 and the S90H, which I think is going to end up being a C6H at a certain size. Yeah. But the matchups for the G6 are not as compelling because who knows what Sony's going to do.
Right.
So here's why I'll tell you why you shouldn't. You have the G6 versus the G5, which you already did. The G6 versus the S95H, which you already did. Are you going to do it again? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no Z95B this year. There's no...
No.
We don't know if there's going to be a Bravi 8 Mark III. So there's not a lot of...
This is a lot of faith on my part because it's getting so much coverage right now. How the G6 is just, the firmware is not baked.
They're going to fix it, man. I mean,
if they're going to fix it anyway, this discussion becomes completely irrelevant in 3 months.
That's how G5 coverage was.
And that's how the G3,
we saw
the G4.
But the thing is, what we saw. Here's the thing: is Classy's work is very in depth. What we saw from the G6 yesterday wasn't a fault of the G6. The surprise wasn't the G6 was bad. The surprise was how good the C6H was. So we didn't really. I mean, it showed the color red throughout the day.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, hey, the thing can't do red. So I'm not sure what he's talking about, but
right.
I trust his research. But that's what happened to us last year. Last year, the G5 went against the S95F. These problems, if you want to get with a magnifying glass, I guess you'll find them. But from regular viewing distance, we didn't see all kinds of banding or posterization. I'm not there looking for dead pixels either. So who knows?
And then we have a super chat. We'll get to you, Michael. I have to get caught up. Thank you so much, Prolific21. Is the G4 still relevant in 2026? $2,500 for an 83-inch, a good deal, or better to save up for the 83-inch G5 or C6H? Okay, so I think let's talk about the 83-inch C6H, and then you have the G4 2026. The G4 2026 has something that none of the recent G5 and G6 has. It was the last MLA generation. Off angle, it will be better than any of these TVs. If you are sensitive to some of these color issues off angle, you watch a lot of whites like Hawking, whatever. Off angle, these TVs, you may see some green or just color biasing, vertical banding on the extreme edges on all of these non-MLA TVs, these 4 stacks. What happened is the color on the G4 across the board is a bit more consistent off angle, and some people embrace that. And the MLA is definitely bright enough. I really like that TV. The difference though is on the new Tandem stacks on direct viewing, in the brighter modes, like vivid mode, standard, at its brightest, it's more saturated in color and it has slightly more contrast, less washed out. Even though the brightness are similar, the G4, if you watch a lot of sports, I'd go with the G5 or the G6. However, if you watch a lot of movies, I think they're all going to be nearly indistinguishable.
Yeah.
Just regular movies, right? We're not talking like Jennifer Gallo. You're going to see some differences there because hers is like demo 2,000 nits and above. But most movies are below 1,000 nits. The G4 is absolutely fine. And if you're getting a good deal, this is why I like the G series more than the C series. You get the 5-year panel replacement warranty. You're getting a great value at this point. And the 83 inches, it's going to be bright. I mean, I think it may be too bright because the larger the TV is, perceptually, it's going to look brighter. So personally, unless you need that brightness, sports, vivid mode 24/7, I go ahead with the G4 83-inch. Your thoughts?
In the gaming though, I think G4 was 144.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so as long as 144 is good enough, 165.
Dude, 120 is good enough for me. Console gaming, don't even look above 120. But if you're a PC gamer, maybe you might want the latest processor.
Yeah.
So for
I would go with the more modern TV. That's why I like the way the C6H is positioned, because it'll be cheaper than an 83-inch G5, I guess. So I'm not sure what the prices fully are, but the G4 is great. If you can save the money, save the money.
Absolutely. Let me make sure I got caught up to everyone's super chat. Let's see. Because it starts off, because some of you did that. Okay, so now we can do Michael McGee's. I'll make sure to capture everyone, trust me. So Michael, he asks, Fomo, I appreciate the live stream yesterday. You're welcome. Any news about the LG's 2026 nit remastered toggle for low mastered HDR content? No news. We're going to keep talking to LG. Well, right now, LG is just trying to get it fixed for normal content. They are not even thinking of this ambition at all.
And they were never clear on how to, because there is a different step to the G6 and C6H for that customization tone mapping that's supposed to emulate Dolby Vision 2 to some degree. I didn't see it implemented. or how it's going to be done, but they didn't seem worried about it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do a video on it when we have some clarity.
Yeah.
Right now, they're just trying to get things back on the track.
Yes. It's nuts.
Before we see the train can go, let's put it back on the track.
And Dwight Baldwin asked, Fomo. Okay, so we already talked about this one. Drop out the reds. I'm sorry, it's like my super chat's flying over the place. I think we have everyone up to Buddy. Thank you so much, Buddy.
What's up, buddy?
Do LG still let you update via USB? I know I can on my A90J and C9. Technically, all the TV makers appear to. I've never tested it because I'm just lazy.
I never do it via
anyway. I go online.
I don't have access. I mean, yeah, going on and finding it and downloading it's always.
But I'll check. Yeah, we'll check.
I'm sure you still can.
Because I think it's important that we double check that. Up to this point, I'm assuming you still can.
I think you still can because I think the manufacturer can send it to you. If obviously if I ask for it, maybe they could send it to you. That's how they would display it that way. So I'm sure you can.
But here's the thing, though. Once they realize that people are using this workaround, will that end? Can you still do it? And I think the governments will force this as an option because the minute governments see them taking this off the table, them meaning any TV maker, they're in deeper trouble because they're already facing a pending lawsuit from the Attorney General of Texas. California and at least 3 other states are already passing laws preventing this sort of backdoor tracking and uploading. And so if LG or any maker removes the ability for us to manually update with USB, it's going to be a problem. I think enough consumer advocates will step in and say, hey, not acceptable.
You know, it's funny, going by your logic though, Fomo, it's so interesting that a number of years ago, Panasonic released a Hollywood-grade OLED to the US, remember?
I remember.
And it didn't have any smart features.
Nope.
So
and it was super expensive.
Super expensive.
And it wasn't covered by warranty.
Yeah.
Because it's Hollywood.
But many of us had always wished that we had a TV that had the same capabilities, but keep all the bloat and just give me the settings and the HDMI inputs.
I agree.
Now you know why, because when you go to a lot of the workshops, Tizen, LG, they make money on all the channels. They tell you, oh, we have 500 channels. I'm like, who watches these channels? A lot of people do. They don't want you to skip that.
And well, actually, to your point, they make money 2 ways, primary ways. When you watch the channels and the channels are showing ads, they split the revenue with those channels, the ads.
Yeah.
So the channels are free to you, but it's actually costing sponsorship money, right? Advertisers. So they're getting paid there. But the big money I discovered when I was doing my LG research is data selling of your viewing habits. Indexing who you are, your demographics. They can track which commercials you like, which ones you don't. Reselling that is worth even more than the actual ad watching, because if the ad's playing and you walk away, there's no value. But if they know, oh, every time I show an ad for deodorant, Brian's just, I need new deodorant.
Yeah, I need that clear.
Right.
That Old Navy.
That Old Navy, right? Oh, I use Secret because
we wondered why
made
also,
for a man, meant for a woman.
Remember with Xbox, though, they wanted it to be always on, and people are like, why do you want to always be on? I don't play multiplayer. They're like, it's okay, don't worry.
The data
stuff.
The data is worth more than the actual ad dollars.
Yeah.
Again, people walk away during the ads. They want to know when you walk away, and they're going to start targeting you more
And buddy, I
effectively.
wonder too, like even the right to repair that we're seeing on phones, they really don't want you cracking these things open. They really don't want you doing any of that.
Europe stopped that. Now,
Can you fix it or no? You can't.
You can.
Okay.
As a matter of fact,
I know John Deere. You can't
they're
even fix
they're
their
forcing
products.
Apple to make battery replacement a thing in the future.
Oh wow, okay.
So, and not just Apple, Samsung, everyone. So they're trying to make parts standardized where they can fix it yourself. So Europe is really taking the lead on this.
Yeah.
I'm very impressed.
Well, with us, all those fix-it places are disappearing, and I know John Deere. The big problem is like the farmers can't even, like the bolts can't even work on the tools they use. They can't even work on the stuff that they have.
Yep.
And there's nobody to fix them.
Well, and forget electric vehicles.
John Deere.
No, you used to be able to do a lot of do-it-yourself. No more with electric vehicles.
It'll drive you back to the factory.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second.
It'll just disappear. It'll drive itself back.
Yeah.
Hey, DJ Gardner Jr. That's a mouthful. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. I learned the magic of OLED while TV shopping last year. I bought a 77-inch S90F, clap, 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 last of the wonderfully affordable QD-OLEDs, 65-inch B5, 55-inch S95D.
Damn, man,
I got
you bought
FOMO Fomo, now I'm eyeing the 83-inch C6H to replace the 77-inch
See, I
S90F.
like his ladder because what's his ladder? Like you went height or size, then you went down a couple sizes. You got the whole family.
Yep.
Then you're like, if I'm gonna do the replacement for the 77, going up in size gives you the instant upgrade. So smart.
So I agree with you. You're going not same size upgrade. If it was same size, it's not an upgrade. It's indistinguishable. Going from 77 to 83, and I think this is the play. The only thing I would say to hold off on is this. You're used to Tizen. The 83 S90H this year, similar panel as the C6H. Now, exactly the same. Is it hyper radiant? Is it this 4-stack? Is Samsung going to tune it similarly? We don't know how far off it is.
No, it looks like he's going to do the C6H at 83.
Right, but what about the 83?
I don't think he's even talking about that.
Okay, well, because it's not available. We don't know.
Yeah,
we haven't tested it.
Well,
I'm all for this, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I would. The thing about it was like the G5 versus the S95F. I don't care what anybody says, unless they guarantee me it's that. Mm-hmm. I'm not opening it, and you're not going to buy it. Yeah. So they could easily say, yeah, well, look at LG. That 48-inch is a 4-stack.
But they're not going to advertise.
They're not going to advertise it. Yeah. So that goes the other way with Samsung. Samsung will not tell you at 83 this is a or 77. So for me, I have the C6H in the other room. We're going to unbox it. I have an S90F. We'll compare it. But when Samsung sends me the S90H at 77, if they're very close, then we have our answer. Well, I'll check the pixel structure, but they should be very close. But I can't guarantee the 83 though.
Right.
That's the problem.
As a geeky tech guy, I don't mind the different OSs going from one UI to the next. I won't do it for my parents because they're so used to Tizen. The minute they jump to something else, or they're so used to Roku, the minute they jump to something else, like, oh my gosh, it's a whole paradigm shift for them. So if you're okay with going from Tizen to WebOS and back again, I'm a big fan of the C6H. I think going bigger, performance will be similar. The additional color saturation I was impressed with. So yeah, go for it. I can stand behind that.
And the 83 inch size is excellent.
Yeah. And we have again, caught up with your super chats, my friends. Yeah, I know. We hung around yesterday. We see you all. Yeah. Hey, next time you speak with Dolby, can you ask them if they have any plans to add enhancement features for HDR10 and SDR2?
No.
So I speak with them regularly. I can tell you this. They can't.
That's not them.
Their job is to make Dolby Vision as awesome as possible, and Dolby Vision has more metadata space, and of course they make a little bit more money off of it. They don't like HDR10. That's why they developed Dolby Vision. They thought HDR10 and let's put SDR aside. HDR10 is inferior. Now, will Dolby have what we call HDR remastering? You notice that on some TVs, the TV themselves do HDR remastering.
They all do now. Yeah.
I will ask
Samsung
Dolby.
Started that. I think.
Yes, Samsung has that. So they take SDR content and they convert it. So what they do is they make the blacks a little bit deeper. They add more contrast. They add a bit of brightness. So they play with it. It's kind of like a filter.
Yeah.
Dolby Vision has the ability to do that. Whether they will do that, I will ask them. But I can tell you ahead of time, they're not going to touch HDR10.
Well,
it'll undermine them.
Well, into this part, Fomo, I did ask them because I was asking about TV specifics. I said, "Well, do you foresee Samsung doing an HDR that 10 Plus Advanced being similar with a slider like Max?" And they just don't. Nope.
You don't know.
And they don't want to comment or speculate. Again, we're not dealing with a creator. You're dealing with a company who can't say anything, but they basically. And because that's why I wasn't excited about Dolby Vision. I don't want another format war.
Yeah.
But Samsung is going to be the ones that are going to have to say, yes, we'll have a slider. Because a lot of you guys aren't really considered just about Dolby Vision 2. Now the Max is something that the customization, we need to see that implemented before I tell you you got to go after it.
Agreed.
So that's why we're still, we're excited though.
Oh, we are. But my prediction, I think, okay, so here's the problem. The Dolby Vision on your TV, if you notice, it only flags when it sees the metadata.
Yeah.
When SDR, there is no flag. So unless Dolby Vision...
Same with HDR10. HDR10 Plus has nothing half the time.
So the only way this will happen is Apple TV. You notice? Apple TV converts everything to Dolby Vision.
I was just going to say...
At the streaming side. I think the way the play is get an Apple TV and everything becomes
And I know
Dolby
one of you
Vision.
guys said like the Dolby, blocking Dolby Vision 2, you really only do that on Apple, by the way. I don't know about the other stuff, is not the answer, well, I mean, you're not wrong, but I'm telling you that if it's bothering you, why are you going to watch something you don't like? Wait for them to fix it, but I would block it, and that's what I did with my G5. It's fine now, but when it was really struggling, I wanted to still enjoy my TV.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anything done through LG by not doing that. They don't care like that.
No kidding.
So, I mean, HDR10 gives you the ability to not track other than Filmmaker, the director's intent. So if you want your TV to be brighter in standard or home or cinema home, do that.
Yeah. And next up, Super Chat, thank you. I am David ID.
A90J, Master Series, baby.
Moving from the A90J, I had that. That was the king of TVs for 1 year, maybe
great
one and a half during COVID.
But it lasted 2 years.
To the bedroom. With TCL already putting the QM8L on sale, still worth waiting for Sony to announce their lineup. Looking at the 85-inch or 98-inch QM8L while I wait to see what Sony has to offer. So you're looking at 2 price points here. What Sony brings to the table will be, first, a flagship Bravia 9 successor. We're calling it the Bravia 9 Mark II, or true RGB, or in my words, real RGB. I see UKG. Here's the thing. That TV will be priced, I think, just above the Samsung Micro RGB, around that area, right? So whatever the Samsung Micro RGB is, add another $500 to $1,000 for the Sony. I hope to be surprised. So that's a flagship.
Yeah.
The TCL QM8L is below that. It's priced to compete with the Bravia 7 successor, which is also going to be some cheaper variation of this true RGB. Now, how much cheaper remains to be seen. So you're going to have the QM8L, the X11L, which starts at 75 inches. That might be too big if you look at 65. If you look at 65, then maybe you have the 65 micro RGB R95H from Samsung. Sony rumored, I don't have any confirmation, and R85.
Yep.
Sony rumored to have a 65-inch for both their RGB true TVs, true RGB TVs. These marketing terms.
Remember True HD?
True HD.
HD
Is that what they're doing?
That's what they used
Are
to
they
have. True?
repurposing?
And they're like, I had interlaced
Okay.
NDI.
What do you guys tell me? Which sounds better rolling off the tongue? Real RGB, which is what I called it all day
Real
yesterday.
is accusatory, though. That
Real?
means, like, true means it's
It's
actually,
not
they're
fake?
both the same.
I
actually.
like
real if you keep it real, baby.
Real's
Keep it
off
real.
the tongue.
Yeah,
Real
right.
RGB, true kind of trips me up. But anyway.
Well, both says a lie. True and not true is a lie.
Right.
Real and fake, it doesn't sound great.
Now, if you're looking at 85 or 98, I will tell you right now, the 98 is going to be super expensive from both Samsung and Sony. TCL, the QM8L at 98, so keep in mind that one, and the UR9 from Hisense at 100. Those two will be what I will consider value.
Yeah.
Because I know that whether Sony or Samsung has that available, the pricing is going to be through the roof on those.
Once they jump up in size, they're gonna, because they come out very affordable initially, I think, and then once Samsung says, well, yeah, but at 85.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting though, David? Right now, unless you have your mind completely made up, with SQD and RGB and micro, LG has one. It's very hard to pull the trigger.
Oh yeah,
at
I
this moment.
forgot. LG's releasing a 75, 86, and 100
Micro
86
RGB. Yeah, they're
IPS, I think. So
yeah, I think you have to beat 86.
75, 86, 100 for their new 95 series.
Yeah.
Competing, and it's priced higher than the Samsung.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, David, unless you're ready to buy tonight.
Yeah.
And you need
Wait.
that TV. It's you got to wait to see even how TCL shakes out, because they may do a QM9L.
They may.
They did that last year. I'm like, what the hell? You told me there wasn't one.
So we have the QM.
Where the heck's the X11X? Don't worry about that one.
Before I flew here, I was sitting there all day watching the QM8L next to the X11L, right, preparing for my video, just to get a feel for both TVs. And they are so close. Where would the QM9L fall? It doesn't make sense.
That was the problem last year.
Yeah, don't have
actually.
T-Cell, stop it.
Yeah.
Do not put a QM9L.
Yeah.
QM8L exactly where it needs to be, right? 4,000 to 6,000 nits. X11L up to 10,000
It's a big
nits.
jump. Yeah.
Right.
See, last year the problem
There's
was
nothing in between.
The last year the problem was the QM9K on paper was the jump, but we couldn't really see it in person.
It was worse.
So some people like the I like the way the QM8K looked.
I did
better.
as well.
So
I did as well.
but we
Yeah.
saw the specs. And the X11L specs do match, but to shove another one in there when you have the QM9 or the the RGB coming in.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to make. And before I haven't even seen the Sony yet, honestly. So be able for you to pull the trigger and then be like, oh my god.
And I'll have to tell you,
the Sony video.
I'm convinced there will be no QM9 only because when we were at TCL's workshop, they were so focused on the big three having Dolby Vision 2 Max.
Yeah, so the
X11L,
QM9
RGB, and the
RGB
and the QM8. So they only had 3 with RGB because they were the only 3 with advanced processor to
QM7 has Dolby Vision.
Handle that. Yep.
They will have Dolby Vision too.
So next up, I like this question a lot. Thank you, All Night Pawnee, for your super chat. Can reviewers really start focusing on Netflix and other streamers as the main viewing material? I do. Unfortunately, that's the vast majority of content. Reviewing these platforms is much more useful. So I'm going to throw in some context for you. I love reviewing Netflix, but I have to tell you that it's going to be very inconsistent. This is why. First of all, depending on not just your connection, let's say you have the best AT&T ultra bandwidth gigabit connection. If you're watching content that everyone's watching that night, let's say Squid Games a year or 2 years ago, they will throttle your 4K down, no more HDR, or 4K to 1080p. So what I see on my TV that day may be HD HDR, or suddenly it's 4K missing something, like 4K. Wait, what happened to HDR? Or they don't throttle me, but I don't have the great bandwidth that day. So when I do the TV review, maybe my TV's struggling with a little bit of low bit rate on
that day.
Netflix's end.
Could be that day.
Not the TV's fault. And so now the TV's getting nailed for something that Netflix, I don't want to say screwed up on, but throttled me down in. So in an ideal situation, I will get max Netflix performance streaming, but you may not get that experience. And so then you're like, wait, what does this look so crappy on my TV? So either I get blamed or the TV gets blamed, and it's no one's fault, but it's Netflix's fault. And Netflix, I use as an example because they are one of the best at hosting and delivering this, but they also have the largest audience. And then you go to Apple.
Different countries too.
Different countries have different experiences.
Well, and I think that's the problem with our posterization comments is that we've seen that. Are you using Spears and Munsell? Are you using a disc?
Are you using Dolby Vision?
We've had it where we've seen on Jen's content, even with good speed, we've seen it on, say, the G5, and we looked over, it was on the OLED TVs.
Wait. And not only that, let's talk about the posterization on Netflix. You have the native app.
Yeah.
It's not
TV,
all.
You have
so
a TV app. Is it as good as the player? Is it like the NVIDIA Shield? Is it offering?
The native app alone is a nightmare. Not all TV,
you mean on the TV
platforms update their app at the same pace.
No.
As a matter of fact, if you're on Google TV, your Netflix app most likely will update more quickly than if you're on maybe Roku or on Walmart's in-house SmartCast.
Some people like the NVIDIA Shield. It's got RAM. It's got more memory. Same with Apple TV. I prefer
Apple TV. Yeah. How quickly does the Apple TV update its Netflix app? And I think they removed some features now because Netflix says, no, you can't have this. People prefer the Netflix app on the Apple TV, but now it looks more like the TV native app. And so to your point, all night Pawnee, am I reviewing Netflix on a streamer? Which streamer?
Yeah.
Apple TV, Android, Google, or the strange Chinese Android that happens to have Netflix but only works on an iPad, which is silly.
Well, no reason,
Right? I mean, I've seen those
boxes. The reason we know is the problems I had with LG last year when I would send them a picture of a movie, like Extraction. It was, okay, what input? Is that the input? Is that the TV?
Yep.
If it is, which one is it? Which update?
Yep.
And to expand further on why we don't do as much Netflix, in my reviews now, I do pause movies. Copyright can hit you for that.
Yeah.
So copyright, I know a lot of you guys see channels doing movie trailers. They're playing fast and loose. All it takes is 3 different studios in one video. You could lose the channel. And I know you guys think, oh, I see all these other guys doing it. It's very hard to take your work and get hit with a copyright.
If you guys have been here around long enough, 2 years ago at M-Wave,
we
did Mario Brothers, and I was telling Brian, hey, we'll live stream Mario Brothers, and we kept running the same scene. I go, you know what? Let's just keep on playing what happens. 15 minutes in, connection was cut.
They cut it.
Literally, Nintendo and their
Yeah.
team came in there and shut down the stream, and then we had to restart the stream on a new video stream with no Mario because I just wanted to see. And
Yeah.
luckily, I didn't get hit with a strike
Yeah.
because I made it
But
unlisted.
I'll tell you, as a creator, nothing's worse than when you get that email that
Yep.
says your video's down, you have a strike.
No.
And then you panic. You can try to fight it,
Nah,
but
forget
all
fighting.
that so you can see 5 seconds of a movie versus 20 seconds of, or 9 minutes of Spears and Muscle.
Yeah.
And if we do it, I used to do like specific movie editing scenes. It's not worth it. I'm sorry. But I mean, it's not worth the copyright.
Now, to your point all night, Pawnee, what I'm doing now, I used to run Netflix on my Chromecast, split between the TVs. When I discovered that
I can
now most people are watching native Netflix, how
Off the
I
TV
review off the TV,
yeah.
native on the TV. What I have to do now is run the TVs in their native Netflix and then let the TVs deal with it, right? So that my review is the native Netflix. Now, get this, if it's 2 TVs, I have 2 remotes running the same content, starting at the same time, and then later syncing the scenes so you can see what they look like. And so 2 issues, right? Am I reviewing the Netflix app or am I reviewing the TV's capability? Because then if you have an Apple TV, my opinion on how the Netflix looks on the LG G6, let's say, is going to be very different than what you're going to see on your Apple TV Netflix fed into your G6. So let me know all night, is that something that you'd be okay with?
There's another.
So yeah, just something to think about. But excellent question because it does open that discussion that I need to hear from you guys. Is how do you use your Netflix? And next up, Brandon. Born in 76, sometimes 75. Thank you for the super chat. Looking to get the UR9 for my PS5 Pro or PS6. Will Dolby Vision 2 Max benefit gaming? So, thank you for bringing this up. Hisense responded, yes, they will support Dolby Vision 2 Max. I will mention that on my UR9 review. Still in the box, Hisense, I will look at that. But Dolby Vision 2 Max will be added in a firmware update.
Well,
now,
that's their flagship.
that's their flagship.
That's their consumer flagship.
Yeah, we don't know if the UR8 will have
The
it.
116 UXS is more of a Halo problem.
But it doesn't have it.
Yeah.
PS5 Pro, PS6. First of all, Dolby Vision 2 Max has never been announced as far as gaming support. As far as I know right now, it's just content. So the answer is no.
Well, they brought up gaming. Dolby did
Dolby
bring up
Vision gaming generally.
And they said that there was how many titles enabled. I was under the impression there was only a few games. I never use it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, will it benefit gaming? Max, to your point,
Yep.
would be important because then you can increase the strength. But if it's just base, I would say no.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
And yes, so hopefully, I would still get the PS6, by the way. I have the PS5 Pro, and I'm just looking forward to getting the PS6. Not because it's awesome, but come on, it's a PS6. Why not? You can always put it on eBay and resell it, right? Hey, Machine6910 from Mexico. Thank you for your generosity. Finally, I got 100 U7QG Pro. Price, size, need to calibrate. So, Classy, if you want to fly to Mexico, maybe he'll meet you in Puerto Vallarta and you can calibrate his TV. But the 100-inch U7QG, I think, is an excellent TV.
Oh, it's very good, yeah.
Assuming Mexico gets the same one we get, you got a winner.
I think they're the same.
And the calibration, so here's another one. I like Hisense because it comes out of the box, to me, with the most natural skin tones, right behind the Sony, in terms of just, this is so easy on the eyes. Whereas the TCL, it feels like they push the red or the magenta a little bit harder. So good choice for content watching.
Well, let us know how you like it too. Follow up. I mean,
Yeah, como está?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let us know how you like it having 100-inch.
Why is the G6 only Wi-Fi 5? Let me ask you, Dwight, why do you need more? For content streaming.
That's why I don't cover it. I mean, it's like HDMI 2.2. I'm like, but I got it.
Are they nickel and diming to save money? But that's a good point, which is Wi-Fi 5 is definitely enough for streaming because streaming is fully compressed. If you're Wi-Fi, you're connected to your router, and your router is delivering the stream, but the streaming is compressed. Unless you're gaming over, if you're cloud gaming, let me know. Is that what you're doing with your with your LG, because I know LG has a gaming feature on its remote that goes to the TV.
Yeah,
but yeah, let me know. I'm very
not.
curious why you need more.
I get the question, but I know people are basing on that too.
I forget Wi-Fi 5. Their Ethernet is like even slower.
That's always.
I used to think, the hardwire is a guaranteed connection.
I remember when they were doing all these crazy modems and routers, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, your TV doesn't have it, and the wall doesn't have it." You're like, why the hell do I have all this stuff?
Yep.
And the
Hey, All Night
Supercharger
follow up.
tonight.
Thank you, All Night. Follow up on streaming reviews, at least for comparing TVs off a splitter. There has to be some legal and equitable way to do it behind the scenes. There is no. The legal way is we argue it's instructional, it's educational, it's fair use.
Look,
but they don't care.
It's very easy to say, but there are places that will knock you. I mean, you imagine 10 years of work knocked out because I'm trying to show you Stranger Things?
Well, no, the best example is Sony. Sony gave him approved content.
So I was in Japan filming Sony, and Sony Pictures told me while I was there that I could film the TVs with these terrible movies. It was like Bad Boys. It wasn't even like good-looking movies. And I got hit before my video went live. I got hit 3 times. So if that was 3 different studios, that's grounds for termination of my channel.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
You can't get it back. Also, I can show you guys 4 seconds of a crap movie that looks terrible on the TVs, and they don't push the TVs either. I can't swing it, man.
You know what's funny is one of our co-creators, he got hit for just putting the image of a poster.
I got hit for the loading. I got hit for the menu behind me, the DVD menu.
And I know you're wondering.
It's ridiculous, guys,
it
because
is.
The thing is, using content material actually shows you what these TVs can do, demo material. The Netflix is not pushing them.
Yeah. And Dice Cut, this is an excellent question to launch us into more of your goody chats. Is Sony, thank you Dice for the super chat, is Sony True RGB prices likely to be around the same prices as the Samsung Micro RGB or the Hisense U9? The answer is probably, based on the leaks out of China. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean we'll get the same pricing, and it doesn't mean the leaks is predicting US pricing, but I'm just extrapolating from past history. It'll be close. Already, and I'm going to have a video on this, I was shocked that the Samsung Micro RGB R95H pricing was immediately below the launch price of the TCL X11L. And then TCL immediately dropped their price by $2,000. Like, right? And this is MSRP on Samsung's end. Like, pricing.
So TCL, I think,
very aggressive
what their thought was, you know what, let's put a very high-end TV out. People that are very curious will buy it. They don't mind buying early adopters. Mm-hmm. But they gave themselves a few months before even the Samsung's not out yet. The UR9 just started to release. So they still had all this time to say, you know what? I'm kidding. Let's drop it. And the same thing's going to happen for the QM8L and their other TVs. The minute these guys release their Bravia 7 or whatever it's going to be, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to drop it again.
Yep.
So being first does have the caveat. That's why LG and Samsung release their OLEDs first.
Yeah.
They can drop them down by the time Sony used to release theirs. So it gives you a little time to get some money.
And speaking of money, when do you guys think OLED TVs will get HDMI 2.2 and 240 hertz? Okay, so this is my position on this. I hope never, and I'll tell you why. 240 hertz, 2.2, we're talking 8K gaming. There is...
We just backed out of 8K.
I'm just like...
We just backed away from it.
And consoles will never get to 4K 240. Never. I mean, even with PSSR, the latest whatever for the PS6 that's coming out, right?
It's never going to be 4K. Yeah.
4K 120 smooth is going to be where this PS6 is going to be. 240, maybe PS7.
Remember PS5 had 8K on the box? Was it PS5 that had 8K on the
They
box?
both tried to have 8K, right?
Well, they do have 8K. I think PS4 tried to do 8K.
And then now you're talking PC, like, okay, forget those consoles. I'm a high-performance PC gamer. I'm looking at the 6090 with DLSS and frame rate generation. Okay,
comes out.
Guys, if you're paying that much, your TV is not good enough. Get a high-performance QD-OLED or OLED monitor where 2.2 makes sense.
Or DisplayPort.
And so back to the money.
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost for the TV makers to get MediaTek. So let's put LG and Samsung.
Which have their own.
MediaTek has to develop this high performance chip to keep up with your TV for 0.1%. And I saw that thumbs down by that one PC gamer who just walked out of here. And I'm like, you know what? This TV is not for you, buddy.
No.
Don't do it, because you're going to raise the price of that TV for that 0.1%, and it might not even look good. So
Yeah.
I hope it never comes, but I understand why it's there. I think it's really there for the monitor people.
Yeah.
But then again, you have DisplayPort, which I think may be a better standard. So I don't know. I mean, you guys could argue among yourselves about this. It's not appropriate for the TV.
Well, and I think the fact that the TVs are actually doing 120, 144, 165, I think they're going to hit a wall and stop investing, because the people that are really asking for that is such a small percentage.
Yeah.
And the TV's doing, unlike a monitor, it's doing all these smart features. It's stealing your identity. But to ask it to do that for people that still don't buy it, because a lot of us that ask for it turn around and buy a QD-OLED monitor for 600 hertz for $1,500.
And those monitors are going to be 48 inches, right? By the time 2.2 comes out, 48 inches from maybe
Ultra wide,
3 feet away.
I mean, I don't game on them, but the fact is, it's to spend this much money on a TV.
And never use that capability. That's a lot.
I mean,
to get the panel to keep up with that.
I do, and I would, but I'm such a minority. 83-inch OLEDs, there's so few people buying that to game high end.
I agree.
So I can't see them exploring it much further, because they're not seeing the money there. They're not selling more TVs because of it. You're going to see them go back the other way. They're going to say, this is enough.
Yeah. What 4K Blu-ray player are you guys using? So I use two. And they're, by the way, image quality is identical, right?
They're all the same. As far as
I use either, if my Panasonic is broken, I'm replacing it. On the high end, the Panasonic UB820. I'm not going to pay more for the 9000 series, because all that additional expense goes to better audio, whatever, jacks, it's thicker, whatever. But if it's just purely for video that I can test with, the UB820 is perfect. I can pause, I can slow-mo, and most importantly, this is why I love the UB820, frame to frame. When I have it paused, I could go frame to frame and then identify the problem on the Blu-ray frame by frame and compare the TVs through a splitter frame by frame. Pause, get the max brightness in that frame. No other Blu-ray player lets me go frame by frame. They let me pause, but they won't let me, first of all, slow-mo is also amazing. Very few Blu-rays allow you to slow-mo and then pause and then go frame by frame. So Panasonic uniquely allows that. UB820 and the 9000. Now, I know
you can change the tone mapping.
Yeah, but that tone mapping was for
No, I meant like with
TVs.
the spears of Munsell, you can actually change which
yes.
nits you're using.
Yeah.
The sub menu lets you go in without going out of the main menu.
Yes, you can pop up an internal pop-up and change that menu, which, thank you, Stacy, for enabling that.
Yeah.
So Panasonic makes it easier. I do have a magnetar / whatever that I got from Robert to review and play with, but because it lacked those features, I don't use it, but I know why people get it. It is the universal enablement of those TVs. So if you're into international discs, that's why I got it. I got discs from Germany, some concert discs from out of the country.
People rip, I don't know, like
Oral 3D, right?
He would rip,
so, but for just playback, top of the line, UB820 or 9000 if you need the extra audio improvements, right? Sony X700, XM7, the best for just basic playback.
Yeah, I have
it's
that.
cheap.
I have one. It's big
cheap.
though, right?
You can pause, you can slow-mo.
Yeah, I have that in the in the Panasonic.
I love the Sony X. They don't sell it anymore, I think, because just because it's so cheap, I guess they make the margin. But if you could find one, the X700 Mark I or Mark II works fine. The only difference is on the Sony, you have to manually enable Dolby Vision. And then when you put a disc that doesn't have Dolby Vision, you have to manually disable
you know what?
it.
That's the one I have, because I was doing Spears and Munsell, and I had to go in want to do HDR10, and I had to go in and actually disable it on the player.
Yes, on the player.
That made me nuts. I wish I talked about that before.
For me, I don't mind manually disabling, and only when my Panasonic is broken. I'm like, wait, Sony, like Fomo, your Panasonic's broken. I have 5 of them.
Yeah.
That I went through 5 of them because that constant pause,
them hard,
slow, whatever, they last me literally just over a year, and I figured it out. I finally got the Best Buy so that every 2 years I can just replace them. So I've gotten 3 replaced now. So I've gone through like 7 of these. Now they're on a replacement plan with Best Buy. Layaway replacement on the same one I purchased 2 years ago. But they automatically detect Dolby Vision. So the UB820 and the UB9000 automatically detects Dolby Vision, so that makes it easier for you guys. And they detect HDR10 Plus, I think. So that's why I use Panasonic. All right, next up, let's see.
We got 300 in the chat.
Oh,
Please
yeah.
hit like, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you
take
for all
a
the super
pause.
chats. We'll get to a lot of your questions, but we appreciate you guys being here on a Sunday. Following up after yesterday's very long day.
And just bought a Pana UB820. Winner.
They're great.
You love it. Many people are saying that true RGB display from Sony, right? The real RGB TVs is an OLED killer.
They're all OLED killers. They're all Halo killers. They're all Call of Duty killers.
Okay, I will tell you this. This is why they're an OLED killer, not for the reason you think. It is not an OLED killer.
Anyway.
It is not an OLED killer because it looks better than OLED. It is an OLED killer because for the same price as an OLED, you're getting a larger TV. And so instead of buying the OLED that's smaller, but maybe slightly better image quality, you're getting a larger TV and you're accepting the compromises for getting 2 sizes up. And perfect example
Which is how it's always been.
this person right here, right? So let's use this person. Ty.
What's up, Ty?
Scooped up a 98-inch. I love this TV, by the way.
QM6K. Yeah, the QM6K
98-inch
Pro, I think.
QM6K
that's a
Pro.
great TV.
Costco, $1,300.
Yeah.
You know what costs $1,300? A 65-inch LG C5.
Or what is these 77-inch A95Ls? That's still like $3,000.
That's over $3,000.
Over $3,000.
So, but the C5, C5 is 65-inch. That's 3 sizes smaller, right? So
Yeah.
85, 75, and down to 65 is the same price. That's why it's an OLED killer. So you're at Costco. They carry the C5. $1,300. Then you go over it. $1,300. And you look at the size. You walk out with you're carrying it. You're hiring this dude and carries out, throws it in your truck. That's why it's an OLED killer. Image quality, definitely not better. But the immersion, definitely better.
Well, that's always been the case, but what's different now, Fomo, is LEDs are back to what they promised. They are for a while there, they were almost the same brightness as these newer OLEDs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're pushing 8,000 nits, 10,000 nits, they're very colorful. Even if they're not the full BT 2020, they're just more striking. OLEDs, even yesterday being with those amazing OLEDs, they're a little boring. They look very similar.
Mm-hmm.
These mini LEDs are back to looking very different from one another. So that's where I think they're taking the lead. They're exciting new technology. They're big. OLEDs are just kind of stuck in that 77, 83. So if we did a shootout where it had micro RGBs, that would be compelling because they'd all look very different. The best OLEDs in the world look very similar once you calibrate them.
True.
And put them in Filmmaker.
And especially you watch Netflix, back to Netflix,
Yeah.
they really look the same, right?
Well, and to the point of why the G6 looks so dark, they're all tracking them accurate. It's dark.
It is dark.
If you watch a movie on Netflix in Dolby Vision, even unless you go to Vivid, it's dark.
Go to Dolby Vision Bright or go to Dolby Vision IQ. I mean, right now, one of my favorite settings
IQ.
is Dolby Vision IQ.
IQ
They've
is,
done
yeah.
a great job of just matching it to your room
Yeah.
brightness. All night, last one. No, keep them coming, my
How
friend.
much more
Last
do you want,
super
bro?
chat. Hey, thank you again. My 10-year-old daughter.
You're definitely buying dinner tonight, by the way.
I love this. Yeah, I know. Now I could actually have dinner in Connecticut. My 10-year-old daughter calls HDMI Hamdini.
That's awesome. You're the technology person when you talk about your kids back in the day.
Houdini. We should go Houdini.
My daughter used to say "mommy" this way. You're like, my daughter says HDMI. So cute. That is a technology family right there.
I can see it. She's learning how to read, right? Or she learned how to read.
Teaching her how to read the spec sheet.
She's all like,
how many nits, sweetheart? Nits?
can you imagine showing your elementary age kid that's just learned how to read? No vowels,
Not
just
really.
consonant. Houdini.
I don't know how to pronounce this.
Dad,
It's actually-
switch the Houdini.
It's actually HDMI.
But this reminds me when my
awesome.
4-year-old son, right? My 4-year-old son grew up on an iPod. So remember the first iPod that's
the
connected
dial
to the
on it.
internet, right? So he thinks that's his phone. So we're in the garage, and I forgot my garage code to get out of the condo. Dad's like, Dad, why don't you ask Google? I'm like, what would I ask Google? It knows everything. I'm sure it knows what garage code is. I'm like, I hope it doesn't know what the
actually
garage
does
code.
now, though.
It probably does now. He goes, no, let me ask.
LG
What's
TV
my
knows.
garage code? I'm like, wow, this native internet family of kids is like, just
That's
ask
cute. Thanks for sharing
internet.
that story. That's awesome.
That is so cute. Yeah, keep them coming, guys. And Machine 6910 from Mexico, Pro 165 hertz. I watch both of your videos for the choice, so we recommended the Hisense.
Yep.
Look, we are in the golden age of TVs, and this is why. At every price point, there's an amazing TV. Even if we're at the entry level, I've been recommending, my number one recommended budget TV is that TCL QM6K. And you guys seen it, right?
Yeah.
My editor's choice, the best TV at 98 inch for under $1,400. That's insane.
And to be honest, that's why we were a little bit nervous about some of these newer matrixed mini LEDs that are edge lit. We finally got to the point where, and TCL and Hisense are responsible for this.
Yes.
Is mini LED from top to bottom. You know, no compromise. Then they have a whole nother tier, which is still freaking mini LED. But now some of the bigger manufacturers are doing this kind of fake mini LED. It's edge lit, but it's direct lit. Direct lit's old. I mean, come on, we're going back to direct lit. So
The original, yeah.
So I think you have to ask those questions, but right now is the golden age where full array local dimming used to be a luxury on only a few models. Mini LED top to bottom is great, but now that we're going into RGB and micro RGB, there's only 2 traditional mini LEDs that are coming over. QM6K carries over.
Okay.
The U7SG 1 and the QN80H 2.
I'm going to pause
That's it.
on that. Do you know why the QM6K from TCL last year carries over? It is so good
Just
for the price.
It would be redundant to do
And
it
not
again.
only for the price, now they dropped the price. So for today's prices, I have to say the QM6K will continue to be my value choice because
Yeah.
last year it was at $200 more. This year at $1,300,
Yeah.
what choices do I have at that size?
And I think if you look at TCL,
98 inch.
if you look at TCL and Hisense's strategy, Hisense has a 116UXS, which is a Halo TV, really.
Yeah.
The UR9, UR8, U7SG. Then I think they're doing another U6 type.
Yeah.
TCL is saying no, we're doing all SQD, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry, 7, 8X11L, and then the RM9L, which is RGB. They want to leave traditional mini LEDs to the lower tier,
Right.
and let the QM. So they're really all in on SQD.
They are.
Where with Hisense, they only have really 2, we think, and maybe Sony might have 2, Samsung 2. TCL's like, nah, man, I got you covered all the way.
Yeah.
So the QM7L to be SQD is a pretty big gamble.
It is. It is.
And it has Dolby Vision 2, not Max.
Not
Sorry about
Max,
the
but
third
2.
place.
And we'll see how good that is. Now, this is a wonderful explanation. Thank you, Dwight, for following up with a super chat. Wi-Fi 7. So the question was, why does G6 only have Wi-Fi 5? So let's talk about all the TVs, right? Why upgrade to Wi-Fi 7? So Dwight says, Wi-Fi 7 has the extra channel for congestion. So you have a lot of these devices in your house. If everything's Wi-Fi 7, then it's able to jump to a different channel,
that's router,
right?
That's your modem,
And
that's your
farther
cable
reach in the
company.
house, higher bandwidth. So I agree.
Yeah.
This being the
Should be there.
case, the question though is, how much more does it cost? Well, so 2 questions. First of all, if LG is designing their own chips, rather than outsourcing it to an SoC that may include this, like MediaTek, that may or may not have Wi-Fi 7 on its family of chips that they resell to Hisense and Sony, everybody else.
Also the HDMI 2.1.
Yeah, HDMI, limited to HDMI 2.1.
This year, we got you.
LG develops everything in-house to the degree they can to be vertically integrated, as well as Samsung. And so we'll put Samsung aside. Since LG left the smartphone game, they may not be as cutting edge as they used to be when it comes to these small Wi-Fi transmitters and receivers. So they may have to outsource this. Samsung may be the first with Wi-Fi 7 because they do have Galaxy phones. They know if they're building out these Wi-Fi 7 receivers and transmitters for the device at their end, they may be able to incorporate that into their TV processors, and everyone else is at the mercy of the third-party supplier.
Yeah.
If the third-party supplier has it, they'll have it, like Sony and Hisense and TCL. If not, then they won't. But I'm with you. LG needs to develop it then.
And they may be doing the LG the way they approach Dolby Vision too. Well, we'll see how popular it is and we'll go for it, which is kind of they've always struggled being reactive versus proactive, which is a mistake. The MLA has been around forever. They could have put that out before QD even came out. Had they done that, they would have killed it.
So Scott Woodford has a great question, because I had this comparison.
We just said this a minute ago.
Yeah, so I had this comparison last year, but we'll talk about this year. So the question, thank you for the super chat, Scott. I'm thinking of getting a new Hisense U7 or TCL equivalent. Which one would you recommend? So last year, I recommended the U7 over the QM7 because it was $200 cheaper, performed similarly, was way brighter, had better skin tones, but the QM7K was a better gaming machine. So basically, in my opinion, if you need it for really just high performance console gaming, get the QM7K, it looks good enough. But if you need it for sports, brightness, and the best audio in the business, I felt the U7 last year had the best audio of any TV within $500 of it. Get the U7. That was my content watching choice, and it was easily my editor's choice among the value. It was that and the QM7, QM6K, right? This year,
there is no equivalent.
Well, first of all, we haven't received the QM7L yet, but we have the U7SG.
But the QM7L isn't the equivalent.
It's too expensive.
So the thing is, this is the problem, Scott, is that the only two traditional mini LEDs this year are the U7SG, which we already have,
which is a great TV,
and the QN80FH. That's the only other Neo QLED mini LED. It's the only
you're talking about, forget that
Samsung. But those are the only traditional TVs that are mini LEDs.
For this year.
Bravia 5 is last year. Bravia 7 is the year before. Everything is now, so Hisense is the only one really doing a traditional mid-range
U7SG.
U7SG. The QM7L is SQD.
With Dolby Vision 2.
Dolby Vision 2. It's going to be very bright. It's on another level. It's hard to recommend. I don't care what the U7SG costs.
And I'll tell you this. After seeing the U7SG, it's so close. So it's a little bit brighter than the U7 from last year.
But it has the anti-glare.
It has the anti-glare. I think save money and get the U7 last year.
Oh, you know what? I would say this. If you're interested in the U7SG, get the U8Q from last year. That TV was great.
I like the U7 more. Mostly because...
The U8Q better local dimming.
U7
was brighter.
I just thought it was more polished for the price. Okay, if it was the same price, get the U8. But if the U7 is like $400 cheaper, is it $400 or $300 better? It isn't. It might be $100 better, but that's it.
I compared them both. I compared the U7SG to we both did, to the QM7.
We both did. And I like the U7 more. Yeah. Even if it was priced the same, I would still choose the U7.
Yeah, it's a more advanced.
I liked, so the U8's more advanced because more dimming zones, but the U7 had better skin tones. And so for me, out of the box skin, if you don't plan to calibrate, U7's better.
And it's unfortunately from TCL, that is the only choice because there isn't one. And TCL's response to that was there's no TV that can compete with the QM7L at that level because there isn't one.
It's about $400 more than the U7SG.
Yeah.
So right now,
it's not even out yet.
Yeah, get the new Hisense U7SG, and I'll guarantee you this: the audio on the U7SG will be better than TCL. Consistently, I'm seeing Hisense just killing it in audio quality out of the box. I'm very impressed because at low volumes they sound very similar, but when you start turning up the volume, the U7 nails it. It's just a richer, less distorted audio at a higher volume for the larger TVs in the larger rooms. So go with the U7 or last year's U7 if you can get it at a good deal. Or get a larger last year U7 than a smaller this year U7 if the price is the same.
And the QM7L is not really on its way. I think it's going to be another month or so before it comes out.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, we have no word of when we'll get our review. Yeah. Thank you, Ty, for that follow-up super chat. Thank you both for putting me on the QM6K.
Our pleasure, my friend.
Check your local Costco, everyone, for a darkened media room upstairs, 98-inch TCL QM6K. And let me focus on why he said darkened.
He's going to the next level.
The Pro is glossy, so that means it's reflective. If you buy the QM6K at Best Buy. It's a little bit more expensive because it has the matte screen. In ambient lighting, the matte screen may do you better, but if you get the Pro from
Glossy
Costco,
crosshead, yeah.
light control is essential.
It's got some other. It's got the other panel though. It's got the wide viewing angle.
Yeah.
Of the
Now,
too.
the QM8K though is also glossy, 98 inch.
Very glossy, yeah.
Now, which would I get? The 83-inch C5. I would get the 83-inch C5.
No way.
It says, 98 or 83. Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
if
it
it
was
was 85 or 83, I would go C5. But you're already used to
darkened media room, 98 inch. I mean, it's a large
But how
TV.
big
You're
is-
used to it.
But he's got a QM6K Pro at 98. You can put a little baby TV in the media room if you can go another.
Yeah.
Just get a higher end, larger mini LED. Call it a day. Because if you go back to OLED,
Yeah, you
you're
can.
just kind of screwed it. But once you
Yeah.
go to OLED, it's hard to go back.
I like.
If you like
yeah.
the QM6K,
Stay with the
QM8K
QM.
is much better.
Yeah.
And just
I agree.
stay big. Stay
Yeah.
big for media room.
You're
I love
right.
OLED.
For
but
some reason, I thought I was saying 85. Yeah.
85 versus 83, the OLED will win that. But
But
not
98, and it's darkened, so I would go with the QM8K. And the reason is
dead
this:
center, too.
a lot of you are saying, "Fomo, what about the blooming this and that?" He's used to the QM6K, which has
Exactly.
more blooming, and if he
Yeah.
likes the QM6K, the QM8K is just that much better
We-
in
we-
contrast
yeah.
and specular
We
highlights.
rarely recommend going from OLED to mini LED. We definitely don't remember going. We don't say go from a larger mini LED to a smaller OLED. That
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, stay with OLED for
Yeah.
sure.
Or stay with mini LED.
Yeah, let
for
us
sure.
know how you like the QM8K.
Yeah, that's
for
great.
sure.
The
Especially if they
design is
sell
amazing.
it. Oh, especially if they sell it at Costco, he gets the warranty. So Costco warranty is outrageous.
Yeah.
Brian, are you already talking 2027? Just save your money for 2027.
Well, yeah. I mean, this year kind of caught us off guard. It wasn't until we got the SQDs and the RGBs that we're like, wow, these are actually much more exciting than we thought. Thank God, because again, OLEDs are OLEDs. They're beautiful, but they're very.
I think it's important.
Even when the G6 works itself out, it's going to be a little bit better than the G5. S95H, a little bit better than
Yeah.
the S95F. These mini LEDs, I think Sony, they're a massive difference.
Massive.
You know, so I mean, that's what we needed. We needed that shakeup, and that's going to push OLED too.
Now, speaking of massive difference, this is a good comment, and I want to give it context. Who buys a TV for TV audio, though? So I call him Albuquerque. Albuquerque. Netflix had their survey. They did their research. Over 85% of Netflix watchers, streamers, they use TV audio.
Yeah.
Then I think the other 8% maybe sound bars or worse, right? Just
Separates
external.
is like half.
And then the last tiny percentage
Separates.
is a full separate
Yeah,
whatever.
separate.
Okay. But let's just take the 85% for now. That is the majority. And so even though people don't talk about it, and our enthusiast group, actually, you know what, chat, let us know. Shout out. Do you have a soundbar? Do you have dedicated separates? Receiver is fine. Receiver or better with multiple discrete speakers, soundbar or TV audio.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comment below. And if you have multiple TVs, let us know what you guys are
and
watching.
that's a great question because we talked about that with Samsung's aesthetic. A lot of them with Flex Connect, they're looking no wires, maybe even no speakers, just a sub hooking up to the TV. And I have separates. It's a hard sell to have these big speakers everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I have massive speakers, and nobody wants those. I mean, I like them, but you're not gonna have them in your living room unless you're doing 2-channel audio.
And that, so here we are in the living room. And I love this. Well, you know what? I gotta show off this living room. Look at this.
Study.
Oh, look at the piano. You got the lights, right? I gotta show off this living room. So here we are in Brian's artistic living room. Look at that. Oh, geez. So here is exactly how you set up a Samsung Music Studio 7. Sorry, Sony, I know you love your quad, but I feel that the Music Studio 5 from Samsung is the best looking external speaker for a TV I've ever seen.
That's the one that was underneath the S95H at the Samsung's review shop?
Yeah, the one that's round.
Yeah.
So it's the cheaper
yeah.
one, right? It's the more affordable one. And the Music Studio 5, that's going to be my choice for a quick and dirty. Oh, yeah. So whether it's just one of those or two of those or four of them, your TV will coordinate them and calibrate them to surround as you add them. You don't have to buy all 4. You can buy one at a time. I love that. It looks great. And for a place like this, you have a TV, you throw that in, it fits right in. So personally, I like external device audio myself, but most of you are watching TVs. So now, Dwight, to your question, is it worth it to get a TV calibrated if the firmware isn't fully baked, like for the G6? So I've had this discussion with Classy and Dwayne, right, my favorite calibrators out there, and some TVs, and I think G6 is, or the G series is one of them, once you calibrate it, the firmware update doesn't affect the calibration. I'm assuming that's still consistent, because the worst thing to do is to calibrate your TV, not cheap, right, several $100s, to have the firmware updated and it screws up your calibration. So definitely reach out to the calibrator. They keep track of what TV models, if they calibrate for you, they don't have to go back and recalibrate it if there's a firmware update that screws it up. So that's something that one, on the one hand, that's a good question, but I think it's TV specific and model specific. So I don't want to generalize and say, oh, don't worry about it. Once you calibrate it, the firmware won't affect it. It may, but you have to ask the calibrator specifically what model you're talking about, if they calibrate it, and then firmware. Because as we know, every year, all the TV makers half-bake firmware in May, and then by December, everything is fixed. Like the Sony didn't fix their issues, which I think lost them the HDR part of the shootout. It was fixed by the end of the year. But during the shootout, HDR on the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II wasn't great. So yeah, definitely, if you get it calibrated, talk to the calibrator and say, hey, this is my TV. If you calibrate it, one, will the firmware affect it? And if it does, are you going to come back and give me a discount to just do some touch-up? So yes, great question. All right, let's jump back to more of your questions. Yeah, today is any question, right? It doesn't have to be OLED TVs. It could be about our video yesterday. It could be about an old TV you have. Should you upgrade? Throw it out there, guys. Throw it out there.
I mean, it's definitely, like we said, Fomo, what an exciting year, though. It's really say that sometimes the information is too fast. Yeah. Even Sony hanging back to the very end is interesting. You know, Samsung, they're just all doing different things, and that's better for all of us. But again, we thought a couple of years ago it was going to be OLED only, and at that point, they would be pretty boring. I mean, at a certain point, they're all the tough thing about OLED is if you have an OLED from 5 years ago, you're still good.
Yeah,
I mean, they're still beautiful.
I agree.
Mini LEDs from 5 or 6 years ago are a little bit of a hard sell.
Yeah. So here's a great question. And this is something this is why we're in the golden age of TVs.
Oh, very
Chad says, as someone who just upgraded, quotes, to a 77-inch S90F, great TV, my editor's choice last year for best OLED value, from the QM8. I really don't see what all this OLED hype is about. As for context, this is a QD-OLED, easily one of the best OLED technologies you could have bought last year at the 77-inch size.
Chad, did you go up in size or did you
marginally better?
Chad, was your QM8 a 65? Did you go up in size too? Was it 75? You only went up 2 inches. But I'll tell you, Chad, I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Wait, maybe he's watching Columbo. So there we go again. What is your content?
What are you watching too, Chad? But you know what's funny?
Sports?
I will say, Chad, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Some people just don't like OLED. It's possible that they don't get it. The challenge with the S90 is typically as bright, if not brighter, than a QM8. It's not even a QM8K. So just let me know what else. Give me a little bit more context, Chad.
What do you watch?
Yeah, what size was it? But some people just aren't blown away by it, and they like the mini LED image. It's just kind of hard to see that. I mean, it's QD-OLED, but I get you. Let me know what you think, or give me a little bit more detail.
Yes, and another point is, and this is important, if you're watching the Weather Channel or CNN, OLED does not flex. I'm sorry. It's just as good watching something else. And I think this is a balance against this other extreme comment. SD. Classy streamed last night and showed why he doesn't recommend the G6. It was pretty awful. I wish more people would show these glaring issues. So here's the thing. The glaring issues, if you're watching Columbo, do you notice glaring issues?
No, but that's not
right.
No, but the
glaring, and that's what I'm saying is the issue is but you might not see it.
Yeah, but the glaring issue, SD, I appreciate that. But the glaring issues, it's like going into your camera to the screen to pull out dithering in one movie that's not in everything. We spent the entire day with all the TVs. We didn't avoid being critical of them, But that, like you said, the minutia of going that deep with measurements, people aren't going to do that. Now you have a whole industry saying they're all garbage when they're not. Most people, now you're also a very audiophile yourself. You appreciate Classy's work, then definitely go to the letter on what he's saying. The majority of the people are like, what is he talking about? They don't see it on the screen. We didn't see it yesterday. The criticism of yesterday's G6 SD was that the C6H was better. It wasn't that the G6 was broken or terrible. We watched 5 movies on it. We were on it for 5 hours. He's going through with a fine-tooth comb and a laptop.
Well, you know, if I took off my clothes, you'd say Fomo's nipple is larger on the left. To the right. He's disabled.
But look, there's value in both. There's value in his work and ratings and measuring it. There's also value in Forest from the Trees. What do you see when you watch it? I saw red on the TVs the whole time.
Well, I walked away wanting to buy the C6H.
So, but my point is, like this, you wouldn't have said they're terrible, but for SD, if you respect that kind of work and you like that fine detail of what he's saying, yeah, in your mind, it's pretty terrible. Well, anybody that walked in that store yesterday liked them all.
But then Jung, KG Jung says, as someone who only had LCD TVs for a long time and recently upgraded to an OLED, the difference is pronounced. Now you have 2 people that own TVs. One of them was not impressed by the S90F, which I thought is an amazing OLED. And then Jung's like, it is impressive, but what is it you're watching?
Yeah, and some people have gotten into just average OLEDs. But SD, I get what you're saying, but the pretty terrible, that throwaway line, not from you, once you brush that TV that way, and it ends up being a lot of measurements, and I saw dithering in this content and this one scene where I paused it, that scene doesn't stay paused. Well, you know, it's a movie, it goes. So
Scott,
it's tough.
Scott has a really good comment. And I'm going to point to this part of it. I don't think he understands what he's looking at, or watches a highly inaccurate mode.
Who is that though? Who's he?
The one that couldn't tell the difference between LCD and the S90F.
Well, it's not that he couldn't tell the difference, Scott.
The highly inaccurate mode. If you're watching Vivid, don't you think an LCD in Vivid may be better?
I mean, some people just like the look of a
That's what I'm saying.
You might be right, Scott. But the thing is, I don't want to think that Chad is wrong. It's what he likes. I've had people a lot of times think that OLEDs is just...
If Chad is coming from Q90R dynamic mode, and then he gets an OLED and puts it in Vivid, he's all like, I don't know. And you know and there's nothing wrong with that.
And this is what I'm guessing Chad let me know, is I think also many of us have talked about it being the pixel control, that it's the next level. He might have just been underwhelmed that he was like, okay, it's good, but he didn't say it was worse. I think he said... he's right here. He says he went up in size.
Okay. No, but this is a great point. SD says, but why would I buy a G6 to watch Columbo? Wait.
Wait.
No, I'm not joking. Robert Conrad bought a G5
to watch Weather Channel.
To watch the Weather Channel in Vivid mode. And this year, because he was unsatisfied with its performance, he bought a G6 to watch the Weather Channel in Vivid mode. Yeah. So I do not question how you use your TV. I know, SD, you don't. But talk to Robert Conrad, who may be in this chat right now. Robert, really? You got a G5 and a G6, and he has a Sony OLED. And what does he watch 3 hours a day? The Weather Channel. And the G5 was unable to deliver because it burned in after 3 hours daily watching the Weather Channel in Vivid mode.
We say when Ratings does their tests are for the common people, but their numbers are for the enthusiasts. So the numbers in SD, you're an enthusiast. You've brought back 1 million TVs. I've known you for years now. You're hypercritical beyond even what you see. Now you haven't said
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Which is, if that's your thing, that's fine. But when a TV gets painted as terrible, and we had people walking in and out, and no one saw it, and we were on live.
Yep.
I didn't see banding on the TV the whole time. No, I didn't put my mic. I don't look for.
Well, okay, so that's another thing.
You know, we're not like kissing the TV looking for it.
There is specific content that demonstrates banding better than the rest. And that's the content that, Classy shares with me and stuff. But when we're at, not a shootout, but just showing in store demos, right? We choose the demos we can quickly
we did
choose.
Movies the whole time.
And we did a little bit of Nosferatu, this and that. And you guys saw what we saw, but it was in a bright room.
Cricket, G5.
For reference level, to catch these things, you might have to be in a dark room, turn off the lights, put it in a certain mode, right, filmmaker mode, definitely not what we're doing. So that's why we're very clear. If you guys are watching in this environment, this review is for you. If you plan to get it calibrated, this review is not for you. So definitely, Classy is the plan to get it calibrated in a dark room.
And he calibrates.
You might see
I mean,
this.
it makes sense. That's what he's into. I mean, that's his thing.
Here's a great super chat from Solidarity. Because I have the Sony A95K and I still watch it.
Yeah, it's a great
I
thing.
have a 65-inch A95K, as do I, as do Lisa. Are the latest OLEDs much better? So I will say, I watch Netflix on it. I watch it in the evening. I watch it during the day. I watch Netflix, mostly Netflix on it. Some streaming, a little bit of YouTube. Absolutely fine. Now, what would the latest G5 or G6 or S95H bring to the table? If I was watching sports, it would be brighter. I will tell you the glare bothers me because in my bedroom I have windows around, and on the A95K I do see that glare because Netflix, you watch some dark scenes, it would not be there with the Samsung. So the Samsung, not better image quality per se, but if I was to replace the A95K, it would be with either the S95F or, well, not the H, because it would look silly with the bezel, because it's on a stand. But I would replace it with the S95F to take advantage of the anti-glare. But as far as the image quality, I'm completely happy with the A95K from my use case in that room. No complaints. It looks amazing. So yeah, there is no reason, unless it's bigger, or unless you're having a problem with glare, because the A95K anti-glare is not great. Sony actually has not been very good with their anti-glare. Almost every one of their TVs, including the Bravia 9, requires some level of light control, I think. But with the S95H, it may be better. So that would be the only upgrade I think you would benefit from. If your A95K works great, you don't complain about the brightness when you're watching sports, right? The number one complaint is, oh, my hockey doesn't get bright enough on the Sony OLEDs. Yes, getting a G5 will bring that brightness back. But otherwise, I think you're fine. Brian, what are your thoughts on the upgrading from A95K?
Yeah,
Would you?
5K is great. No, I wouldn't.
Not for a same size, right?
No.
Yeah.
Again, upsize.
I think you'll be disappointed.
And Chad had followed up. He said that he went up in size. He watches it pretty. Oh, there he is.
Okay, there you go. I watch it. So Chad watches in standard mode. And that's one of the issues, right? Because standard mode is for brighter rooms. So, so just generally speaking,
The Samsung's bright.
for a TCL in standard mode is very bright.
So was the Samsung, though.
But for the Samsung to match that brightness, you have to watch Samsung in standard mode. And so now,
Chad, you know what, Chad, I have a recommendation. Well, here, Chad's saying, look, the movie mode in Filmmaker, it's better, but not mind blowing.
There you go.
Chad, do me a favor.
Not mind blowing. I agree.
In standard, do me a favor. Go into your tone mapping settings and go from static to active. And you might like it better because static is
I agree.
The standard mode. Standard Samsung is
What we did yesterday.
Yeah. So Chad, just real quick, if you know about where the tone mapping is, go in from static to active, and I think you may like it better
Yeah.
because it will give you that LED. We saw it yesterday. It's night and day. Is it accurate? No, but you're going to be in standard anyway. So I would do it. Go into active and juice it up, man. It's got the ability to do it. I'm surprised it's not inactive off the.
So this is definitely a great comparison, and I didn't bring this up until because I'm not from the UK. I don't get the hate for the G6. All context, right? It just launched. It's not even had the latest updates yet. Go read and watch the review on AV forums in the UK. It got a 10 out of 10. So let's take a step back. They being the team there, I think Phil Hinton is his name. So he reviewed it, he measured it, right? He calibrated it. He was very impressed. He gave it a 10 out of 10.
He measures all the same as these guys.
And then you have Vincent down the road from him,
Yeah.
who just did not like his G6. Early firmware, he feels like this is definitely unbaked, and he's going to just withhold the real review until it's baked. And then we have our team here, and I think everyone has concluded, the ones with the meters and everyone, from display guy to Classy, right? They're measured. They were not impressed. So I think it's what you're looking for. I honestly don't know what the AV forums in England, right, was looking for, but he was impressed. And he liked it. It was highly recommended.
Tech Radar liked it.
Tech Radar loved it.
He did a video on it.
So it feels like maybe the European team loves the G6. Maybe they have a different panel setup, but definitely the USA side, not impressed. And for us, it wasn't I mean, I saw the black crushing for sure on the G6, and the C6H felt like it was just more polished. Was it terrible? So here's the thing. It feels like on the internet, for you to get attention, either it has to be the best ever or it has to be trash. But if you say, nah, you get no views. If you say,
it's pretty good.
Right, it's pretty good. But if it's trash, now you're creating conversation. It is not trash, but it does leave performance on the table.
Yeah.
It is unpolished. It definitely, for that price, cannot be recommended today. And we never recommend you buying a TV that is not yet baked. So the G6,
unfortunately, none of them
right?
are.
The G6 as it stands cannot be recommended until we know the firmware is out, and LG knows that, and they need to close this sale.
Yeah.
So
and
yes,
it's too bad because LG, both last year and this year, has a clear way to win. I mean, for a while they're the only ones with 83, and they just trip, man. They just trip.
So this takes me to a different context. So we had Ty, who got the QM6K Pro, was it 98-inch, 1300, loves the TV. The G6, as it stands, will destroy that TV up and down, but it's almost 3 times the price.
But you know what's funny though?
Would you even like?
But we talked about that with even some of the ratings reviews, and I like ratings. Is they're rating it against itself.
Yes.
The G6 with 2 broken legs will decimate most TVs, but we're not seeing. You know what I mean? Like, you're comparing it to what? Another Olympic athlete? It's on its own. It'll still destroy anything you currently have.
Yeah. And just going through your comments, let me capture all, make sure I'm caught up on your super chats. I think if I missed your super chat, just let me know, because there's just so much activity. But I think you guys, I just love the passion. Oh, speaking of passion, if you want passionate discussion about TVs, please click like, get more people in this chat, have the discussion. It's lively. I love it when you all have loyalties for TV brands or technologies or anything. That's what makes it fun. The worst thing that could happen is when you say, TV's just an appliance. One toaster is like another. The minute that happens, the TV makers will stop caring. And so as long as we're passionate about the features and LG and the G6 and all of that, that passion drives the TV makers to continue to do better, interesting, and just new, novel things. And that's what I want for our space. So yes, keep it coming.
So if you want to, it was funny. This is why we have a crew. Connor's got some stuff to say about the G6.
Connor,
if you want to jump on a call, or actually, can he call in to our stream?
Let me see. If he's on Twitter, I will send him the call. 1 second. So get on Twitter. I'll DM you, buddy. And let me run this right now. But how's everyone doing on the Sunday? You know what? And it's Sunday. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, it's incredible. We have TVs to unbox.
I love it. All right.
Send the link to X.
Here, let me DM him real quick on X/Twitter/Elon's AI company thing happening here. Okay, I'm gonna have to put on my headphones now. Oh wait, let me do echo canceling. Maybe that'll.
Talk to him. Actually, I'm gonna set up the other room real quick.
All right.
Because we're gonna unbox the C6H.
Oh yeah, we'll have to unbox. I'll have to help Brian unbox this after yesterday's stream. This is mine. He picked up a box, and he goes, "Send me the bill, Robert," and just put it in his truck and left. All right, let's see this happening here. 1 second. Hope everyone's doing well today. Okay. All right. Okay, let's check out what other super chats you guys may have. Or any chat. It doesn't have to be a super chat. Okay. Thank you guys for the follow-up. For someone like me that only watch TV at night in a light control room, does it make sense to ever choose a mini LED over OLED in those conditions? I think you're fine with OLED. Light control, I mean, really in a bright room, mini LED really makes a striking image because it's a bright room. Hey, just real quick, uh, display guy, you came in and then you left. I didn't even get a chance to add you, so try calling in again, buddy. I think you came in and then you briefly, and then before I could add you, you were gone. So yeah, try again. Anyway, so yeah, normally in a light control room, the biggest difference is size. Can you get to the size you want at 83 inches? Yes, there is an OLED at 97, but it's over $20,000. So 83 inches is a reasonable price. Even an LG, say a B5 is around 2,000, just above 2,000, all the way up to a G5, right? So now you're around 3,000, or if you're an LG partner, just under 3,000. But let's say just above 3,000 by Black Friday, you have an 83-inch OLED. So in a light control room, I think that's absolutely fine. What was that?
Connor said it said waiting for hosts.
Oh, waiting for a host. What happened? Tell him to hang up and try again. I missed him. All right. Okay, yeah, hopefully that answered your question, Dice. And will the TCL C7L be a good upgrade? From what? It could be. But if you're coming from a QM 8K, I don't think so. They're too close. Best TV panel technology is the micro LED. Is it? I don't know. We've only seen giant wall size micro LED, but side by side next to the best QD OLED, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, in theory, on paper, yeah, but you know how that works out. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I really am. QD OLED 83 inches. So have you guys seen the leak? And I'm going to talk about it in a future video. It looks like there could be an 83-inch QD OLED. Nirvana. So the question is, what are we looking for? What makes QD OLED better than regular WOLED? Better color saturations at higher brightnesses or across all brightnesses. From the lowest brightness to the highest, it's more consistent. So yes, I think that's going to be promising for sure. And this is where I'm at with micro LED. This is why I have my doubts. They are way too hot and power consuming. So let's say LG G6 or G5, right? You could hit 2,000, 3,000 nits. Try that with micro LED and suddenly it gets really hot. It sucks the power. So, is it worth getting a micro LED if you're limited to 1,000 nits? We don't know. We really don't know. We have to see these TVs in action before we could definitively say it is the best TV technology. It is a good panel technology, no doubt. But is it best for TVs where now specular highlights are breaking 10,000 nits, right? X11L. Can the micro LED keep up? And if it does, how hot does it get? Devontae Swing, thank you for the super chat. I see an open box 77-inch S95F for 2,100 after taxes. Should I get it? Already have an 83-inch G5. I want a smaller TV for bedroom. Thanks. I like it. I think you should. And here's why. Smaller TV, so you're okay with the size, and it doesn't have to be super bright. I know the G5 will run brighter, but for the bedroom, perfect. Anti-glare. You're going to have light control in the bedroom. I'm all for it. Go for it. I like it. I thought the S95F was the best TV money could buy last year. The S90F was my editor's choice because it performed so close at an affordable price, and it had gaming down, and it didn't have the matte screen that a lot of people don't want. So the S90F had a little bit of everything for a price that was just unbelievable, and it was QD-OLED. The S95F is just a little bit better, but the premium I thought was a bit much. Now that the price has dropped to 2,100, absolutely. Get the S95F 77-inch. Amazing TV. Oh, here we go. And let me add. Let me add. Where is he? Where are you? I'm trying to add him. 1 second. We see you. I'm trying to add you here. 1 second. Here we go. That's not display guy. That's me. Okay. There he is. Okay. Is your camera on? Is your audio on, buddy?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. All right. There you go. Got-
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay. You, you're just a blank space. I don't know if your video is on, but
Oh, oh, hold on. Let me see if there's a spot I can put it so I'm not like
you're
showing
shy.
something I shouldn't be showing.
Yeah.
I don't
Put on
know
your
if there's
clothes,
some
man.
like TV.
Wait.
I
Let
don't know if
me
I have like
label
some
you.
TV
There
or
you go.
monitor I shouldn't show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, everyone's on embargo. He's showing stuff. Display. All right. Let me label you appropriately here. You're like display guy, but there's no image. He's just display guy. All right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if some of these displays I can show, so I might just have to not do
It's
not do
okay.
screen right now.
If you have a wide if you have a put your aperture on 1.4 or something, and then everything behind you will be blurred out.
Yeah, hold on. I think I got a good idea. I got a good idea. Ready?
There you are.
I know. Hold on. I know this TV behind me is okay. So
All right. Yeah.
let me
And
flip it. Let me flip it here. Front camera.
so just a quick intro if you guys don't. Oh, you just call it again? All right, let's try this. Oh, there he is. Okay. There we go.
Okay.
All
I
right.
know this TV behind me is fine because it's the QM8L.
Yes, everyone's favorite TV.
Yeah. No, I don't know about you, but I have to look through this stuff again. But this one, even though it's an awesome TV, it has some accuracy problems. I don't know if you saw that on yours.
I am sure it does. So the thing is, I what accuracy problems? Okay, so we're talking QM8L. Let's get some context, right? QM8L. What issues did you have with it?
So I'm pretty sure I'd have to double check all my comment stuff again. But I'm pretty sure just like the color accuracy wasn't like amazing. It wasn't like terrible, but it was just it didn't live up to the X11L in some of the finer
Out of the
detail
box,
stuff.
X11L was better. Yeah. So did you see it in the skin tone?
Yeah.
Lips are too red. What was it pushing? Too much red?
I have to be honest with you. Usually, I kind of do like my perceptual stuff while I'm filming it, and I haven't filmed it yet. I was gonna do that like today. So,
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Uh, and
but
I think TCL has
yeah.
always struggled with consistency. And have you found you're having trouble calibrating it because it doesn't hold the color, locks the color? I mean,
Yeah, so
TCL has
I have
always had
this issue with a lot of mini LEDs, especially TCL, like,
yes.
and this is why I'm actually gonna stop calibrating stuff. I usually only do it for TVs I'm gonna keep or monitors I'm gonna keep, or if I feel like it's a new technology and I want to see how it behaves
Hmm.
when I adjust stuff. But I'm pretty much just gonna do all out of the box. I'm not even gonna white point balance at all anymore. I'm not doing anything
That's what I've
for
been
pretty
doing.
much
Yeah,
all TVs because it's a huge waste of time.
it is.
It does help a few people out there. If it's way off, it'll get you on the right track, which is nice. But just the amount of time that I put in to do something, it's just not worth it. And so I'm getting to a
Same.
point where it's like, look, you need to either get it right out of the box, and if you don't, the way I was doing it was like, here's how it is out of the box. Here's what it looks like. If you can fix it, yes, you can fix it. Now I'm just going to be like, here's what it is out of the box. I'm not fixing it, so
Well,
do
well,
better.
this is why this is why I review it against like a reference monitor or something. 99% of the people, or 99.9% of the people that buy a TCL, they don't plan to calibrate it. So when your review is in the context of calibration, they have no idea what they should be doing next. Because then you become the settings guy. And it's like, look, this is out of the box, put it on this one mode, movie mode, whatever, and accept it for what it is. This is what you're going to see. And shockingly, even when I see, oh, it pushes red, people still love it, right? They're like, oh, I still love this QM 8K or whatever. And so at the end of the day, I just look at contrast. Does it look natural? And sometimes that magenta or the red push is too much. You're like, oh, that's what it is, right? And I recommend the.
Have you noticed? Have you noticed a lot of TVs kind of pushing to red recently this year?
I actually saw that yesterday. Now, without a reference monitor, I didn't know if the G5 and G6 was pushing it hard, or was the G6 or the C6H was pushing it, and the S95H was pushing it, or was the G5 accurate or desaturated? Because definitely did not have the reds of the other three TVs. And this is why we don't have a reference monitor. It's like, this is what you're going to get. You really can't fix it without a calibration. And so I'm looking forward
Yeah,
to
it's
seeing what you guys are finding out, because it was very significant. It wasn't like a Delta 3, it was like a Delta 10 or something.
it's strange because there's been like three TVs in a row now, and I'm like, is my equipment messed up? Like, what is going on here? Where it's saying that basically like the blue is contaminated with too much red, and
It's like
so,
COVID,
so
COVID TV.
yeah. And so I'm like, what is going on here? Because I'm using the spectroradiometer to like read the spectral distribution on the TV, and it's like telling me, and I'm like, this is not what I normally see. And then when I look at the white point balance, it's like not only is it visually obvious that white is a little red, but it's also just like it's showing up like it's just there's way too much red in all the charts and stuff. So I'm like, what is going on
and
this year?
and
I don't know.
that could be
I mean,
the,
look, to be
but
clear, this is not like everyone's going to freak out and notice it immediately.
right,
This is
right,
like if you're being very critical, you know.
right. No, no, I get it. Believe me. Here, oh, look at you, just shrank. I'm like playing
Oh.
with the. What's happening? Okay, great question by Marky Mark. Only high-end modern OLEDs good for a bright room. So the answer is, if you're a bright room, you have to get an OLED that can handle it. And right now, only the high ends are super bright. G5, G6, C6H, S95 series. Um, but what are you watching though? Because if you're watching Filmmaker mode, then it wouldn't matter which OLED you get. If you're watching Vivid, yes, you're pushing it because Filmmaker mode is exactly what the creator intended. It's not going to be bright. So that's context, but yeah, it feels that way. What are your thoughts on a bright room, the modern OLED? You have to get the brightest OLED you can afford.
You asking me?
Yeah. What do you think, display guy?
Okay. I mean, in my opinion, if you want a bright room OLED, get a WOLED 4 layer or
Yeah.
MLA because
Or
the
G4.
QD-OLEDs, they're yeah, the QD-OLEDs are pretty close, but you do get worse. Like it's going to look a little purple or gray depending on your lighting.
Right.
So you just won't get quite as much contrast. And to me, contrast is more important than any other metric on a display. So I would just it's funny because like QD-OLED is pretty much better at everything else, but it's just that one thing that it can't quite do as well. So for bright rooms specifically,
Yeah.
I would get a WOLED that is upgraded. Um,
Or alternatively, I just thought about it. In a bright room, if ambient light creates reflections, maybe a matte screen may end up being less distracting than a brighter screen. Like if you watch a lot of dark scenes, a bright TV doesn't help in dark scenes, but an anti-glare would help. So definitely it's content specific. So consider the S95F as well, or this year's S90H. Both of them are OLEDs with a matte screen. So, or of course the G6 has a pretty good anti-glare this year. Oh yeah, actually, no. Speaking
yeah,
of
I mean
G6, what are
it
your
depends.
thoughts
I
on
mean,
the
for me
G6?
personally,
Uh huh.
for me personally, I mean, you're not going to twist my arm to get a matte screen, but
I
but
know,
I
I
mean, I
know.
know. Look, there are some people out there who like they just can't handle the reflections, and it's I like I can't I don't get it, but you know, there's some people like they see a reflection that is a defined like object and they just can't handle it. And if that's you, that yeah, that's what that TV is for you then.
Yeah.
Um, because it's a trade-off, right? Like you use the matte screen and the whole screen kind of washes out. You lose a little bit of clarity, a little bit of like punch to the image, but the
Yeah.
defined reflections are gone. Whereas if you do the glossy, yeah, you get the better clarity, the better color perceptually. Um, but you do get defined reflections. They're not diffused, they're defined. But so it's just what can you handle, I guess.
Here's a great question, and I didn't even know about this. What's up with the LG G6 48-inch, and why is it not available in the US? So first, I didn't even know there was a 48-inch G6 out there in the wild, but apparently there is. And assuming there's a 48-inch G6, it makes sense why it's a four stack that you saw, right? You saw the C6 four stack. So if a G series 48 inch is available somewhere else, now I know why. So the question is, one, not available in the US. It's not. I didn't hear anything about that. And two, why not? I cannot answer that. I have no idea why they wouldn't sell.
So
Maybe
yeah, I actually know why that is. So the 48-inch G6 is only available in Europe because typically, and this is what companies seem to believe, is they seem to believe that in Europe there's a lot more people living in smaller
mm,
areas than
okay.
in the US, and so therefore they feel more confident releasing smaller versions. I think they see higher sales of smaller versions over there, so they just didn't feel confident releasing it in the US. However, they do still get sales of those TVs here. I just assume it's probably not quite as much. So there is a C version now. From what I understand, based on my testing and stuff, I believe the C6 48-inch in the US. I can't speak for other regions, but in the US, it should be using the same panel as a 48-inch G6, which, yeah, if they're all using four layer, I mean, I tested it. It's visually obvious. It hits BT 2020 levels that are impossible for regular WLED. And I read the spectral distribution. Like it's definitely happening now. What I can't tell you is will it remain four layer the entire time for every single state? I don't know. I would assume yes, but anything's possible, right?
Anything
If they're not going to
possible.
come out and tell you.
Especially when they haven't
Um,
announced it, right? Oh, real quick, your audio was starting to get rough. Maybe it's a bandwidth issue. In the meantime, I'm going to answer this question because you're talking G6. Thank you for the super
yeah,
chat.
give me 1 second. And I'm actually my thing's dying. Give me a second here.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll answer your super chat. Thank you, RJ. I have a 77-inch G1. How much of an upgrade would an 83-inch G6 be? Is it worth it? So for sure, going to an 83, you get a bigger screen. So boom, you're there. Now, the question is, do you need the extra brightness? Because an 83-inch C6H might get you everything you need with the exception of the anti-glare gloss screen in a brighter room that makes a difference. In a darker light-controlled green room, it doesn't do anything. You're going to get a 5-year panel warranty on the G series. What I would do, in my opinion, is look at the G5. Not because the G6 is terrible, but rather, I don't know if you're going to benefit from watching the G6 if you're mostly looking at movies, filmmaker mode. I think the G5 filmmaker mode is good enough at the 83-inch size. Hey, he's back.
Kinda, how
How's
are
your
you?
workout?
I unboxed the C6 and the C6H.
So the G5 could be the way to go, mostly because the price premium right now from the G5 to the G6 is like over $1,000.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
crazy.
believe even if the firmware updates come out for the G6, it's not $1,000 or $1,500 better.
The
It may be a few
C6H,
$100 better.
C6H is the star, man.
Yeah, because either the 83-inch C6H or if you still want the panel warranty coverage, the
G5,
83-inch G5.
G5.
Yeah, because I was impressed with the G5. That was my HDR benchmark impact TV last year. I loved it for sports, off angle. It will have better color consistency than the G6. No amount of firmware update is going to help the G6 with that either. So G5.
Is Connor
Or
still with
wait.
us?
Yeah, he's going to reconnect. His phone just died, I think.
All right. I'm gonna be unboxing the. I'll do the 55, then we'll do the 77 together.
Okay, you know what?
How
What
much time
time?
we have
Let's see.
left?
How long we? Oh, we almost 2 hours. Going to wrap up in 5 minutes anyway.
Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, we'll have Connor call in, and then he'll call into a blank screen. Hello, hello. All right, ask your questions away, folks. We're going to end in 5 minutes.
I mean, I want
to
to just say, like, quick, for us as a community, all of us that are together here. I mean, the fact that him and I were yesterday at Value Electronics with all those TVs in one shot, and now we're here at my studio unboxing the C6 at 55 and the C6H at 77. We're kind of just covering every TV from a crazy angles. I mean, crazy.
And this is a point I want to leave us all with. Thank you, Phil, for bringing this up.
Look at good comments, huh?
2026 is going to be a great year. SQD, True RGB,
True that,
Real
Phil.
RGB,
Yeah.
Tandem OLED, Micro RGB, RGB Micro Evo, what the hell they end up calling it, and QD-OLED, and affordable Tandem OLED with the C6H,
Yeah.
and affordable RGB Micro RGB from Samsung with the R85, and affordable SQD with the QM7L. I think the golden age of TVs is like the trickle down is so fast and furious. I'm so excited to cover all these TVs for
Yeah,
sure.
and Phil, you're right. We really thought this was going to be kind of a painful year, that we'd have a lot of growing pains, but we're into our second generation for SQD has been great. RGB mini LEDs from Hisense second gen. For Samsung, it's their second gen. Sony's been cooking it for a decade, and then you have the OLEDs where they are. So I mean, we really have it's really a great time. Actually, we'd kind of be in trouble if the mini LEDs didn't do something else right now.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool to have what we have going on.
Here's a great
Thanks, Phil. Great comments.
Here's a great question because this is the kind of question I love to answer. FOMO, and Jamie, thank you for that question. Best Buy Geek Squad is replacing my defective 77-inch 885L for any TV of the same value, $4,800. Okay, $4,800. Shopping budget. What TV would you pick? So first, it has to stay
Wait a
the same
second,
size.
his TV actually. So that's the
Same or
price.
bigger?
But 77 is that's what you paid for it.
Yes, on a 77.
That's it's funny that great question, but the Geek Squad's that'd be like, wait a second, that TV's $3,000 right now. So they're honoring what you paid for it versus market value, which
love
is
it.
awesome. That is a losing proposition for them.
Well, that's why I tell people to get the
you
Geek
better get
Squad.
100-inch something, baby. You better go large.
Well, so what should he get?
What
I
happened to
think-
the A95 though?
He has to stay with the OLED. So,
Maybe he doesn't like it. It died on him.
well, I didn't say get a Sony OLED.
Don't get
I say
don't get the same one.
for that budget, go bigger.
Yeah.
83-inch S. Are you ready? 83-inch S95F.
Oh, yeah.
Because you didn't enjoy
not-
Dolby
it's not-
Vision
it's
on the
not 40,
895.
it's not
Now, if you
47,
need Dolby
yeah.
Vision, 83-inch G5.
You might have to add some money to that, though. I don't think it's down to 47 at 83, is it?
Yeah.
That TV launched at 6,300.
Nah, not anymore.
God damn.
No.
You've never been happier, Jamie. You're like, did you kick that thing in the screen or
Let me see.
got the
Best
cable up it?
Buy price 83-inch Samsung S95.
Yeah, Jamie, check out my video on it. Yeah, it's
And let's
$5,000.
see, it is. Is it $5,000? Yep. There you go.
Yeah,
Right
a couple
there.
$100.
You nailed it. Do it, and tell Best Buy to give you a good deal on that. All right. Let's see. I see Connor's calling back in, and there he is.
Connor, what's up, bro?
There we go. Okay,
Oh,
I got to my
good
computer.
Audio, huh?
Okay, buddy.
Yeah,
we're
there we
good
go.
to,
We're
you
actually
came in
wrapping-
just in
we're
time to
wrapping
say
it up.
goodbye.
Oh, I was
Just
just
in
gonna
time.
say real quick,
Right.
something about the G6, and then I do have to get back to working too. But
Sunday.
basically,
Sundays, we're all rocking it. Go ahead.
I know. Well, yeah, I got a lot going on.
Well,
But the
give me
G6,
your closing thoughts on the G6 because that appears to be the comment of the day. Because
so this one's
You have
the
the
G6 is really weird
okay,
because I talked to Vincent and I talked to some other people about the G6, and it's like the hardware of the G6 is definitely an upgrade over the G5. Like the dithering has been basically fixed. You've got the banding fixes. Like everything about the G6 should like you'd think it would just be better, just
Yep.
absolutely better. And
Hard-
here's the weird thing: some people are saying they're not seeing any issues. And then some people are saying they are seeing issues, and I don't know if it comes down to like what model they got at what time it was manufactured or what, or if there's like engineering units going out there or something. And that's why I ended up having LG just pick up the G6, and I decided not to release the review yet. And I just kind of talked about like, here are the upgrades of the TV. Here's what I'm excited for. And then I was going to wait, give them a little bit of time. Maybe I had a bad unit. Maybe it just needs a new firmware update, whatever. It wasn't even for sale yet. So I was like, okay, it's not even for sale yet. It would be kind of unfair. Let me give them some time. But now at this point, I'm seeing more people coming out and saying, hey, I'm seeing this issue or that issue. And I'll just tell you guys right now, the issues that I saw was that like it's tracking. It was like had weird crushed shadow detail in HDR and stuff. Like SDR for the most part was good, but it just had some weird issues in HDR. And then like, as an aside, also, if you hooked it up to a PC, just like the 48-inch C6, it just doesn't receive the correct HDR information, but that doesn't really affect very many people. So it felt a little buggy and not quite done. And it was like, some issues returned, like the game mode color being worse and stuff that they had previously fixed, where I was like, okay, this isn't ready. Let me give them some time. But now that I've measured the retail 48-inch C6 and seen it was less issues, but some similar problems.
Right.
I'm starting to think that maybe the G6, depending on your region, might have some problems, like just full retail. Like that might not have been a engineering thing.
Saw it all before it was released.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to LG again and say like, hey, I'm going to like, I know that a new firmware is coming out very soon. Once that firmware hits, I'm probably gonna, if they can't send it to me, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it. And this is the review. If your firmware isn't baked by like next week, it's live for purchase. You guys can't be doing this anymore. Like if it is for purchase and people have it in their hands, the firmware needs to be at least close to done. It can't have like significant tracking errors on a flagship TV like that. Now, to be clear, it's not so bad that people are going to like, oh my God, it's a terrible TV. No, let's be clear. It's a great looking TV.
That's what's already out.
It's like, it looks great. It's one of the best looking TVs out there, but just from a perspective of, professionals reviewing this thing, it just has too many on the current firmware that I saw, has too many small issues that you would notice in critical viewing that I wouldn't expect to see on something like that I think it shouldn't be launching with. And if you already bought a G6, I think they're going to fix these problems. And B, if you don't see it, don't worry about it. It looks great.
Now, but Connor, the way you just explained it, especially from somebody that measures it the way you do, is much better than it's been explained. It's being thrown away now as trash.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. That's what happened to the G5, and it followed it until now. It's TV of the year. 2026, the best TV in the world is the A90J. But Connor, the way you explained it is why you're seeing that disconnect between a lot of people thinking it still looks amazing to now throw it in the bin. And that's so important to describe.
And it's I told LG about this specifically. I said, hey guys, last year the G5, it was good when it launched and it's great now. It was never bad. However, you just had a few bugs in areas that shouldn't have been there, that realistically, for the price you're asking, it shouldn't launch with. And you fixed them quickly, and that's great. But those small issues that do, leave a small but, sometimes noticeable impact on the TV, depending on the content you're watching, that painted your whole TV for the whole year as like people just said, oh, it's trash.
Yep.
I'm like, you didn't have a trash TV. It just was not as good as people expected.
Yeah, but
even though it was still good. And now your whole TV is now quote unquote trash. And I was like, if you do this again,
and they did, bro. This is verbatim. Because last year, to your point, Connor, we saw it at Value Electronics the way we saw it yesterday. And our issue with the G6 yesterday was that the C6H looked better. It wasn't that the G6 was garbage. And then another live stream happened later that night, and now the thing is garbage. The G5 Prince, You know, it's. I think it's just like to your point. It is the price you pay for not being done. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, damn, you don't get a second chance
You
to make
do
a first
not.
impression.
Not in this
man.
business.
You're done.
No. That's what I told him. I was like, listen, you got to get this fixed before it's in people's hands. Like, you have to have it done.
Yeah,
And it sounds like they probably didn't. And it's like, well, they have no one to blame but themselves then. Because I bet you that the G6 within 3 months' time, it might be the best TV on the market or close to.
Yeah.
Even for super critical movie watchers, but because that first 1 or 2 months, it's still they're racing to get the firmware update and fix it. That's not a good customer experience, because you got to remember, like, the average person, let's say someone who just walks into a store and buys TVs, if they bought the G6, they would really, oh great, now I'm far right.
we put titles in it.
I'm gonna get banned off YouTube now.
Well, but this thing, Connor, the same thing though, honestly, is, and it sounds messed up, but people that did already buy these TVs, I am sensitive to them, because nothing's worse than spending $6,000. And then you go up there looking for a little bit of affirmation, and you see the usual suspects saying, I can't recommend it, it's garbage. It's not a video game where you're like, oh, Crimson Desert, I'll get it next week.
Yeah.
This is where you're like, I might be stuck with this thing. And that anxiety and that's real. That buyer's remorse is legit, man. And while we can talk to each other online, there's people out there like, holy crap, did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
And that's stress that we don't want on people, man. I mean, look, it's got problems like you said, but when they start calling things trash now, it bothers me, because it's absurd.
And
it's a little too much, yeah.
Let me get some of these super chats before.
Especially Connor, you're not afraid to say things are trash either, brother.
Before you head out, Connor, Display Guy, I'm gonna have to introduce you properly.
Far right.
So Display Guy has a channel called Display Guy. It got too many channels, but if you want to watch also in-depth reviews, TVs, displays, computer parts, computer accessories, cheap memory, maybe he could find some. Yeah. Check out Display Guy. He's on YouTube. I'll leave him in the link below.
Thanks for jumping on.
And thank you for the super chat, Captain Solo. Who is that guy on the right? It's the far right Display Guy.
You're definitely buying it.
I know.
Captain Solo spent like $400 the last 2 days.
Ready. And okay, here's a great comment by Dice Cut. Thank you for your patience. Look, the LG C6H looked great on live yesterday and looked just as bright as the G6, but I would never get it due to it not having a heat sink. Now, forget the heat sink. It's the 5-year panel warranty.
Yeah, that is the difference. Key. But as Rob Brennan from Sony said, and Connor, you'll appreciate this, the heat sink, he wishes he never said it had a heat sink, because the efficiency of the panels, people are looking for this magic heat sink.
That makes it all brighter.
That lets you go to NASA, and you can then enter the atmosphere. It's not doing exactly what you think it's doing.
Yeah.
And that's per Sony was, they wish they never said the word heat sink, because the TVs right after that, the A80L, didn't have one. And it was more efficient. So it's like they felt bad about the fact that, I know you guys are looking for these heat sinks, that they don't really work the same way.
Yeah, agreed. And well, here's another guy. He's far right too, and he's Catholic. That's a great way to end the stream.
Happy Easter.
Yeah.
Far right politics runs the world. Where am I going with this?
Connor's like, what the hell? On a Sunday I came in here?
Wait. Connor, here's the best question. Connor, what state are you in right now?
I'm in Utah.
Hey.
Yeah. Now I'm in trouble.
At least it is Texas, right?
Last thing on the G6. So here's what I was going to say. So the problems that it has, if the customers for this TV weren't the super hypercritical buyers, they're just people walking into a TV store and buying it, which is probably still the majority of the buyers, then I don't think anybody would talk about these issues at all. However, the reason why I think it is a problem is because the type of people who are more likely to buy this type of a product that's very expensive are people who are going to look for those problems. They will pull content to look for it. And they will watch videos that bring it up. So it's like, even though they may not encounter it in a really impactful manner on a day-to-day basis, if they see it here and there where it bothers them, they won't unsee it. And they've spent, if you bought the 85-inch or 83-inch version, you spent $6,000. I mean, yeah, that sucks. And so that's that is why they really do need to start
But
giving him better firmware on launch.
Connor,
That's my, even though it's not bad, it
but
just needs to get better.
Connor, could you imagine this though? You bought an 83-inch G5, you put up that movie, you saw the banding, and then you went and bought a Bravia 8 Mark II at 77, and it was worse.
Yeah.
Then you realize, oh crap, it might just be the content,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm streaming it, and my internet's not great,
Mm-hmm.
and I only see it in that one movie, and that's the problem with pointing it out in a specific. We've done that with content where I'm like, oh, look at the banding here.
Yes.
Then 5 other TVs, I'm like, oh crap, they all have it. So it's always a dicey thing when you're looking at one film, like The Notebook, and nobody watches that. So unless it's inherently always there, it's hard to then say, look, here it is.
I think that's the label. G6, if you watch The Notebook.
No Notebook for you.
Now, before we go, thank you so much, display guy. What happened to his mustache?
Oh, he shaved, man.
That's why no one recognized you. What happened to your mustache? Tell the story,
He
and
couldn't
then
rock that 70s porn mustache anymore.
That was it. Was that it? The wife said, "That's
too
it."
young.
I had like a handlebar mustache going for a while, and it just got to the point where it annoyed me, and I was like, all right, enough already. I cut it off.
Legitimately.
And I will say, with the Bravia 2, the main reason why I ended up saying that was the best TV of last year. Not only do I agree that it has like great upscaling and all that other stuff for SDR content, but here's something that like nobody mentioned, but is so true. It is the best audio I've ever heard on a TV. And in my opinion, like from the TVs that I've reviewed, the Bravia 2 had great audio. Like the timbre was good, the bass was all right for a TV, and the treble was solid. Like everything across the board, it was so good that I was like, yeah, an audio system's better, but this is good enough for most people.
Yeah,
so if you pick this up, you don't have to buy an audio system. You're good. So that to me was like a huge factor. I was like, yeah, it's not as bright. It has some banding, but this as a package, this TV, there's not a bunch of major bugs. The firmware is pretty baked. At the time that I reviewed it, it just like it worked. SDR, like if you're watching, my wife was watching Full House, and it looked like it was like. I mean, it really saved that show. I mean,
you're like, oh my god, it's Stamos. Saget.
I showed her. Yeah, I showed her how good it was. She wouldn't.
She was a beast.
She wouldn't go back to the 98-inch Hisense anymore. Yeah, she was down right next to me down here now. So
forget that. Tell her we said hello, but forget about Columbo. We're doing Full House now.
Full House, I know.
Isn't the same?
Full House.
Look at the Olsen twins.
Oh, actually, no. Let's not do it. That might not be good for our careers.
Listen, it is. The video quality in that is horrible, but it's a great show.
So, I'm putting the twins up for upscaling.
But anyway, thank you.
Oh,
we have daughters, by the way.
I love it.
Oh man!
And with that, what are the good audio settings for Bravia 8 Mark II? Just leave it as is. Yeah. Don't fiddle with it. All right. Okay. Hey, thank you so much, Connor, for coming on.
Connor,
and we always enjoy throwing on guests and so forth. If you haven't seen his channel, check out Display Guy. He still has the mustache in the logo, maybe, right? Okay. Until next time, the G6. Let's hold on to a decision.
Yeah.
It's not trash. I love the comment. The G5 is a great TV, but many movies are unwatchable. I'm like, okay.
Come on, man. Let's go.
That comment. The G5 is a great TV, but some movies are unwatchable.
You know what's fully baked? The C9. Grab yourself a C9, 55-inch, you're good to go.
All right, guys. Hey.
That's like going back in the future and saying, I was great in high school.
Oh.
I know how that turned out.
Bet on the World Series.
You should see the F95B. That thing's fully baked and see how that turned out.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Connor, thanks for jumping by, bro.
It's still early Sunday. Yeah. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you later. And
bye, guys.
Peace.
Take care.
Yeah, have a good one.
Wait, last minute, real quick. You little fricker. What happened to your Bravia 5 98 Richard? I'm going to review it right now. 98 Bravia 5 is an excellent TV. It outperforms all the smaller sizes.
This doesn't count, Sony.
The Bravia 5 98 inch is a really good TV. Seriously,
best ever made.
It's better than the smaller sizes.
Trinitron.
And I was wondering, and
Oh,
then Ratings
Brittany.
put out their review confirming, like, okay, it's a completely different TV. Bravia 5, good TV, get it. Skin tones are natural, audio is amazing. It's like a Bravia 7, essentially. The Bravia 5 at 98 inches is what the Bravia 7 should have been at 98 inches. That's how I approach it. It's just I haven't had a chance to. But well, unfortunately, I got it. It broke 2 days later. Sony took a month to replace it, and I've
You
been
missed
busy.
that window, baby.
They had the window, and then I've been too busy ever since. So that's it. That's what happened to it. All right, enough of that. Okay, thank you, Connor. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Until next time, stop the FOMO.
See ya.